parks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then they have the
know.
webcams,
Yeah.
so then they have to pay the
Mhm.
data fees for the webcams.
Oh,
I
So-
think they use those like at the river parks.
Yep,
Because the cameras go to a iPad, they don't
Mm-hmm.
go to a cell phone.
yep.
oh, so they
have
got
those
record of
different
it.
costs, yep.
Yep.
Okay.
And I believe Ben did work on it to get that lowered down, got
That's
it
what I
like,
thought.
I call it a family plan or construction, you know what I mean, a group plan, and got it lowered down. So, yes, it's high, but it's been higher.
Yeah.
Well, motion.
Okay,
I'd second that.
all right, all in favor of approving the claims?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Barb,
I would like to set a land use hearing for Ruth and Stephanie Cross for Tuesday, March 8th at 9:15.
Make that motion that we set that land use hearing for Luke and Stephanie Cross, March 5th, March 8th, correct, at 9:15. Thank you.
you got her on, eh?
Yep. I just had to reboot it
Good
once
man.
you set it up, so.
Okay. Guess we got about 5 minutes, 4 minutes.
We can do number 6.
Yeah. So,
Okay, what do you got?
for the medical examiner fees?
Yeah.
So we have not upped their fees since 2013. Currently, they get $250 a regular case, and that's usually split. If Dr. Meeker doesn't go, he splits it half and half with the investigators. And then the extreme case has always been 500. That's if they're there for like overnight, long, really bad ones. And then what we did recently was the jurisdiction decline. That's if Dr. Meeker still has to sign off on all the paperwork, if they like die at home with hospice care or it's not a questionable death type thing. So with all the time that they're spending, they just asked what your thoughts were, if you would be willing to increase those fees. And I didn't know now's the time to discuss it with budget, if it would start July 1st or how
Did
you
they
want.
give an indication?
Dr. Meeker just was explaining how, you know, these people are on call 24/7. Like, you have to maybe you're at a family event and there's nobody ready to go. You have to go and be committed to spend the time there with the bodies. I don't really know. Did you guys discuss more on
Katie
fees?
called and told me she was talking to Dr. Meeker about the request. It's not why I'm here.
Right. It
But
just happened to turn out.
I don't remember what the amount she said was. I can find out. If
Here,
you
let me
wanted
look to see. What they did was I sent them the list from the state. All 99 counties did a survey and submitted what we pay.
But I will tell you that Haley is correct. I mean, Tyler has, I think, left work or handled the case over the phone while at work with Virginia Gay. So I think Katie has left work for about an hour to handle a case. So I mean, we are on call 24/7. We can say no, obviously, because we're not mandated to go on every call, but Dr. Meeker pretty much goes down the list, and if you're available, and go handle the case. So I do know.
Hi, Mona.
Some investigators.
Hi.
We're not to you yet, so just hold up.
To go do these cases.
So I was reading it like this one. Like the other night, she was on call. It was at a scene for 5.5 hours. So smaller counties are receiving the $250 plus the $50 for secretarial work. In the past, all the photos come to us, but now they all have to do it on their own, upload it to the IVES.
Not yet. IVES doesn't
Or
support
not-
that yet. So we
okay.
put them on a CD and we
Gotcha.
take them to Virginia Gay, and Dr. Meeker has
Has
to
to
upload them into something off of the CD we give him.
Yeah.
But IVES is, I just can't even express to you what a horrible system that is. Think of your worst time on the computer and then multiply it. And I don't know why the state continues to use IVES, but it will exit out all the time. It won't save you reports. It's just, it's awful. It's an awful system, and it's really terrible to deal with.
So I did mention too that they are, they're allowed mileage to and from the scenes. They've never really done that, like if that would help, but,
It'd be nice to know what they're talking.
well, that's what, 250 currently, plus
Yeah.
the $50, so I don't know if you wanna up it to 300 per case.
Yeah.
What are the other counties doing?
I can send you guys all that link, I mean, you don't have to act on it now, but I just thought it's brought to your attention
It hasn't been raised for how
since
many years?
2013.
Well, the
So that's-
problem is if we're thinking $50 and they're thinking 100,
Right, well, that's just the only thing I'm throwing
like
out
to
there,
know.
so, yeah.
How much is in the budget? You know what I mean, when you start budgeting, ain't it
That's a
10,000?
guesstimate, because I never
Yeah.
know how many cases they're
Right.
gonna have,
Mhm.
so.
right?
I just kinda looked at the past history and put a lump sum in there, and if they're gonna go to training, and I know ahead of time, I put that in that line item, but that's one of those departments, you never know. We could have way too much cushion, or I've had to amend a few times for that area,
Mhm.
so.
I think we're gonna have to figure out, if they haven't had an increase in 9 years,
It's just one of those things we have to offer as the county, and we need to keep them on board, because it's not obviously a fun thing to have to go do.
Truthfully, I think you better table it.
That's fine. I just
And
wanted
then-
to bring it to your attention to think about it.
Yeah, let's,
I can work with them too, and we'll try to get you something more concrete.
Yeah,
yeah.
Again, not why I'm here, but I can.
Right, yep.
Obviously,
and I think Tyler has that survey from
Yeah.
all counties, and I can share it with all of you, but
I'll send an email out to Katie and Tyler.
For right now.
Yep.
All right, 910, Benton County,
this is Braxton territory.
CISM.
Mhm.
I didn't know if I was gonna be here, so I'm just gonna read what I prepared in an email, if you don't mind.
I think I shared it with them yesterday.
Right.
Yep, yep.
So executive matter providing immediate crisis intervention to someone or a group of people immediately after they experience a critical incident can be very overwhelming and an emotional experience. While we are not mental health professionals, we do encounter people directly after some of the worst experiences they have ever had or will endure in their lives. Having the ability to train and attend continuing education courses such as the ones listed above allow us to be as prepared as possible to provide the best, safest, and most efficient interventions possible, but also to be prepared and understand the reactions some may have. Each critical incident someone experiences is an abnormal situation. Their reactions are very normal. However, everyone has different reactions. The courses above give us insight as to how we can better prepare for and understand them to make these interventions the positive experience they are meant to be. While I understand the county provides crisis intervention services through Foundation 2, we hope to take a more proactive approach and provide these interventions before individuals are experiencing a full-blown crisis. Training like resiliency skills, trauma-informed care, and the refreshers allow us to take that proactive approach of recommending skills for individuals to utilize and ensuring we are up to date on our knowledge and practices. However, again, people who have experienced a critical incident may have adverse reactions such as suicidal ideations. While these can be normal due to the trauma they've experienced, it is very important to recognize them. While we are dealing with individuals in a vulnerable state, this is a very important skill to have and maintain. The portfolios are a professional, organized way we can keep the needed documents and supplies with us when responding to new interventions. While we have primarily served first responders in the past, we're making active efforts for the community to not only know we exist, but also that we are available for any citizen in the county. Those steps include being at the health fair, speaking at the Lions and Kiwanis Club, and we are currently working with a business on getting a billboard set up with local businesses as sponsors for it. The Benton County System team truly does want what is best for the entire county. And we are not proposing that we do anything better or worse than Foundation 2 or Shelby's position. She just is simply typically who responds with law enforcement. That's her, role is a co-responder. So we need to be as the United States, as a country, taking a more proactive approach. So if we could prevent, Ron, for example, goes on a call, and I can meet with him directly after, debrief him, and prevent him from going into an actual crisis, which is the purpose of our team, I think that that's really important to consider putting a little funding into, especially when I understand that there are quite a significant amount to spend. As you sent in the email. So you can see the trainings listed. That would cover, there are one member that wants to attend, some of them obviously, 2 for others, and then 4 members want to attend the trauma-informed care certification. And then the portfolios, again, similar to what Haley has over there. It's just nice to have something to keep our policies, protocols, procedures. We have a safety plan, if we don't feel an individual may be in immediate harm that warrants, hospitalization or emergency services, but we want them to have a plan going forward in the night or the day. Request forms, we just have forms we need to have with us to log different things and potentially give out to people, along with cards that help guide us on our interventions, resources such as ones from Riverview to give out if we come across a population that would be experiencing those types of symptoms and situations. Business cards that we'll be getting as well, just things like that that we need to have with us. So as the trainings are all listed out there, I'm happy to talk about any specific one if you have questions or on how it would relate to us. Otherwise, the total amount we will be requesting is $4,309.93. As I spoke with Mona via email yesterday, not all of these are currently scheduled on the website where we would take them through, and I understand they would have to be used by June 30th. So all of this may not get used depending on when they schedule these trainings. These are just ones that we know they offer and that we would like to take if scheduled before that time frame.
Email shows a different amount.
Did you send the updated one?
Possibly not.
So I spoke with Lindsay and I spoke with Lindsay yesterday.
You just took out the vest or
and
something, isn't it?
Yeah, I originally was not going to include portfolios or vests because I didn't think that's something that would be approved with the funding. I thought it was only trainings. So then I included portfolios and traffic vests. Mona advised that they would not be able to fund the traffic vests if you approved this, so I took those out.
Okay, that's why.
And Mona's on the call as well.
Right, right. Why wouldn't this fall under EMS or, as far as some of the funding, part of the sheriff's office with, the foundation too? I mean, perhaps mental, social services. Why wouldn't this fall under some of those budget items?
This is most clearly under the mental health.
Okay.
As for the EMS, that I'm not sure. I know when she had emailed me and I had spoke with May back in September, and then May had responded with that same question of kind of thinking it would fall under EMS funding. That I don't know, Braxton, maybe you know, but I know that was the reason why the region itself couldn't fund, because it didn't fall under our strategic plan, and because he's not like a formal provider with the region, which is why the region couldn't fund it. But
Okay.
Braxton, have you talked to EMS or the Sheriff's Department? Have they said that they won't fund?
So we have, we received a little bit of funding for two initial certifications for the team leaders to do this last year, I think. The EMS Association, the Fire Association funded a couple certifications. Other than that, we haven't necessarily approached them again about funding. This is, as Sheriff Tippett said, more closely related to mental health than it is first responder services. While we are not, again, mental health professionals, we are providing services that are very closely related and correlate with mental health services. And we are overseen by a clinical director, Vanessa West. So similarly to how Dr. Meeker oversees North Benton Ambulance and has to approve protocols and procedures, we also have protocols and procedures that are approved by Vanessa to make sure that we are staying within the guidelines of mental health practices. Because what we're doing can affect people emotionally and mentally, so we want to make sure that we're providing safe, efficient interventions, just like I stated in the letter here.
The easiest way to look at it is, this is the team that, say if we have a big car accident, this is the team that will talk to all the EMS, the fire. They go out and put the CISM debrief together. The law enforcement liaison is a totally different thing where they deal with mental health calls that come into law enforcement.
Okay, so,
So this is a complete, and then we have yet another team within the sheriff's office that if we have an employee that is experiencing some sort of difficulties, we have a team that's been to some of this training that, you know, if it's a work-related event or a personal event, we have a team made up of employees that an employee can go and talk with. And then we try to get them, if they need follow-up, to utilize the county's EAP program. So I could have a couple people, and some of our people do, some that work within the sheriff's office, also work with the county-wide team. So we're kind of sharing some of the folks there.
okay. It almost seems, and we have had discussions here a few weeks ago about somebody following a, well, your organization, your ambulance group or whomever, after a serious accident, you know, kind of visiting with ambulance personnel, sheriff's office personnel, any of those people that are on the scene, and helping them through any of those emotional issues they may have. But this almost seems like it should be under some other department rather than, it's almost, what you're presenting seems like a standalone thing. And I'm wondering if it should be with a budget already in place, sheriff's office. He's already got something similar. Is this something that needs to be built upon that? Am I off base here? It just seems like we should already have something in place that needs expanded upon.
I think he did, or he knew that, but I think going forward with the mental health dollars, because we have to give that up if it's not spent. So
But
if we keep it in
Mona
the county,
said that the region was not going to.
but now she
She
did say they would.
She said if you guys approved this,
So-
and it was approved by the, yeah, she can talk.
Yep, so the region itself wasn't able to build it into their budget, but when I spoke to May yesterday, because this would be a one-time fund, that's why we went through all the different items of what the regional governing board would be okay with versus not, because these are fund balance dollars. It's kind of decided at the county level before, so because this is a one-time ask and it's coming out of the fund balance dollars, that May would be okay with it being taken to the regional governing board and saying, hey, this is a fund balance project, and it's a one and done versus the region actually having it built into their operational budget. Does that make sense?
Well, it does, but I understand that some of this stuff, you know, you can, the business cards, the leaflets, whatever, you probably don't need to replenish those year after year, but what about the training? Aren't you gonna have to constantly go to training if this is a one and done? Yeah, we can approve this, but going forth, are you gonna continue the program and need to do continual training, and does it need to then be under?
Yeah, good question. So, technically, to be a crisis intervention system provider, you don't have to take any continuing education training. I think that's a terrible rule. You are not mandated to take anything after your basic training. But imagine if that was the same with EMS providers or physicians or law enforcement officers. I don't think we would want any of them out there without taking continuing education training. So when we have the opportunity, such as now with funds that I know need to be spent and when I think we're providing really good services for the county, I saw the opportunity to try and get this funding approved, because otherwise we are doing the same thing, just in a different way, with applying for grants, or again, going to businesses, or speaking with Kiwanis and Lions Club, et cetera. So I saw the opportunity with the large amount of funding that needed to be spent, so I wanted to act on it.
And I totally get that, and none of us wanna just
Right.
send Benton County dollars to the state because we couldn't find a way to
Right.
utilize, and benefit from that. But, going forth, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, somebody's probably gonna fall off this organization and need to put new people in there. So are they gonna, where's the training dollars gonna fall under?
Donations donations and grants is what we've had thus far.
Really?
And I just want to be very clear, again, to my point of while we primarily serve first responders, and as Sheriff Tippett said, a group of responders on an accident, we would go to brief. We are making active efforts to be this as a community-wide thing. So if John's Quick Stop was open when they had the robberies that they had, we could go debrief the John's Quick Stop staff of that critical incident. So it's not just first responders that we can deal with. We can deal with any citizen. And we're again making active efforts for the community to know that that's an option for them. So while I think first responders are very important, and that will always be our primary group because of their jobs, the rate of prevalence that they experience critical incidents is much higher. We are here for the entire.
And in I think the last couple RGB meetings, we've talked about it. So if it's not spent, at this point, the way that things are, if any counties have to give, turn their money over.
Lost you.
This must be traveling.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about, you said that not all of it may get spent because some of the classes aren't,
Yeah.
may not.
Scheduled yet.
Yeah.
Otherwise
So
she might
what
just
happens
ramble
with the money?
So
That
how,
doesn't get spent?
how Mona worded it to me is we're reimbursed. So the region actually, or you guys, or whoever has this money now, holds on to this money until we submit that, hey, I've taken suicide awareness. They then reimburse me for that course.
Okay.
And we don't.
Because you're not gonna have it all
You
done
there?
by June, right?
Yeah, so whoever has it now.
Yeah, sorry, I went through a dead spot.
They go out.
Okay.
But what I was saying is regional, so county dollars that have to get turned into the region, they have set up the budget in such a way that only state dollars would get turned back over to the state, no actual county dollars. So just, not that this should affect the decision for Braxton, but just overall so that you guys know that our money is not going to the state.
So,
It may go to the region to get put back into the region, but it won't be turned back. It
So-
won't have to go back to the state.
so then the region would pay Braxton instead of the county auditor's office doing that,
No.
correct?
No,
It would still stay
no,
within
because
us.
this is still a fund balance project.
Okay,
And so everything would have to be completed, all invoices done, all of that by June 30th.
and that's what we're
So
talking
what I
about.
had said,
I don't think it's gonna happen.
yep,
If it doesn't happen by June though, and you guys approve this project, that's where we're going with, then what do we do with those dollars?
specifically for Braxton, if it's not done, the money, he doesn't get the money.
Okay,
So basically, for whatever training, the email that I sent him yesterday, by June 30th, he has to provide a list of who attended and proof of successful completion. All the trainings have to be completed by June 30th, and if they're not, then they're just not. It's because would have to sign up for the training, pay, invoice for the fund balance, invoice for that for reimbursement. But yeah, if it's not possible to attend it because it happens on July 1st, then it just doesn't happen. But it's not something that can be paid for in advance and happen after the fact. It all has to be done by June 30th.
okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep, I'm just making sure we all are understanding
This is the
that.
max amount, and could be less.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't have a problem with it, it just going forth, I think.
Moving forward, we need
It
to find
needs-
a home for it.
Exactly, there you go. That's a good way to put it. Needs to fall under some department.
But
That's-
you-
We're our own entity, we're our own 501c3, so I think that's the issue. We're a nonprofit organization, so I don't know how we would fall under it.
Yeah, so, I mean, with that going forward, like he was talking about with the donations, grants, things like that, I mean,
That's how 501c3.
kind of the cost of doing business to keep your people trained, things like that. So he, I mean, would have to continue to find alternate funding because he's his own entity. I don't know if it even can fall under the sheriff's department. I
Say no.
I wouldn't think it could because it's its own entity, but I don't
And that's
know.
not what we're asking
Yeah.
for.
Sure.
We understand that going forward, we will continue to apply for grants and donations and fundraise, et cetera.
Okay. All right.
So I think the region.
Well, no, I wasn't, I know you know that.
Make it a motion then,
That is.
okay?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And
Aye,
then I'll put up to the maximum amount that he presented.
okay.
Okay.
And then, Mona, while I have you on the line, if the portfolios get approved, do I just submit that receipt to you?
You get
Say
that,
that
Mona?
one more time?
The portfolios on here were the only thing that wasn't training that you said would be okay?
Yes.
Do I just submit that receipt to you once we purchase them, if the region approves?
Yeah, so basically, next step, so since it's been approved at this level, on the 24th, I think it is, of February, I will go in front of the regional governing board to get their final stamp of approval.
Okay,
And in the interim of this, I will get a hold of, I already talked to our contracting person, so I will give her your email, and she'll be reaching out to set that kind of stuff up.
okay.
Because there'll need to be contracts and who gets reimbursed and that kind of stuff. So Haley, in regards to just fund balance projects in general, because those wouldn't get invoiced to me, those would get invoiced to the auditor's office, correct?
Correct, but you still sign off usually on your own, all the mental health bills, so, but either way.
Yep. Okay, so basically have them send them to me, I would sign up, send them to you.
Yep,
Is that,
yep,
Okay,
so
just
similar
so
to
I'm
any
clear.
mental health bill. Yep.
Okay. Thank you,
okay,
gentlemen. I
so
really,
does that
really
make
appreciate
sense,
it.
Braxton?
Braxton.
Yep,
He's got it. Thanks.
All right, well, Ann will be in touch. She's our contracting person, and we'll go from there. Sound good?
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
okay, yep,
All right, have a good day, guys.
thank you, you too.
Bye, Mona.
Hi, Ben.
Ben Turnus.
Can you set that number 8 real quick?
Yes, so I want to do the maximum levy notice for the hearing on the 22nd, that way I can get it to the papers this week and schedule it.
They're gonna be February 22nd. Okay.
And that would be the maximum levy
I will
hearing.
call in, I'm out of town.
Okay, well, and it's just protocol, really. We've
know,
really never
I know.
had anybody come.
Okay.
And then, the regular budget hearing for February 15th, or not February, March 15th at 9:30.
Okay, what time do you want, 22nd?
I think that one's 9:15, hold on. I think somebody put something in here when I wasn't. Make sure there's no, land use hearings. Yeah, so the February 22nd for the maximum levy
Maximum levy?
at 9:15,
Okay,
and then the March 15th for the regular fiscal year 23 budget hearing at 9:30.
then two, okay. All right. Can those be made in one motion?
Yep,
Okay, then that's what I'll do.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 So Ben, how you doing this morning?
Good, how are you doing?
Wonderful. Sheriff, yourself?
I couldn't hear you better.
It's good to hear. You wouldn't lie to us though. Okay.
Okay, Ben, what do you got?
Okay, basically I am here to see if we can use ARPA money for basically what we're working on is there's a device and configuration that needs to be done, so that way the courthouse phone system can communicate with the sheriff's office phone system. And there's basically a device and config that has to be done with it. It's called a session border control gateway. Basically, it's like a firewall / router that, I don't know how the best way to describe it to you guys. Basically, what we're doing is since our phone systems and some other system online hosted and the sheriff's office is on site, this will bring and interconnect them, so that way, rather than dialing the external number to get in, we'll be able to dial extension to extension again like we used to. And basically, this device will make everything work and make everything secure, so that way everything's secure between the two devices, like the sheriff's Z-Tron and our phone system. And eventually, I know Julie in the court system will be going to the same phone system that we are on, so when she gets on that one, we'll be able to integrate everyone back in like we used to be when we had the old Avaya system 3 years ago.
Now with this-
It will include clerk of court then.
Yep. And then the cost for this, basically the total overall cost is $6,922. And to break it down, the actual device is $1,802. And then the rest of it, there's a remote config, which the labor on that is $3,120. And apparently an on-site tech for $2,000 to wire it up and put in the rack.
Now, you'll be able to call over here too? It'll be on the same system?
Yep.
Secondary roads?
Yep.
That's what I was gonna ask.
And then eventually when we do the park, we'll be working on putting the parks into our phone system as well, so we'll be, most every department will be integrated into the calling pattern. The biggest reason to put this in, and the biggest, I mean, Scott is the one that really needs it, because if he has to call over to dispatch, he's gotta reroute through all, and if he needs to call over there during a storm or something like that, there's like probably takes him about a minute or more rather than just dialing up the extension to whoever's at dispatch. Real
In the
quick.
same building, but a different phone system, and they communicate.
I know, it's, when it's hard, we used to be able to just intercom them, now we have to go through the whole.
Guaranteed to work in for almost the $7,000,
Should,
no hidden.
I don't think so.
We might be able to.
Most of it,
We might be able to reduce the conservation phone bill some.
No, Ben's
No,
already
that
working
ain't
on
got
that,
nothing to
that's
do with that.
different.
That's US Cellular, and I think I had talked with Tracy about that.
Yep.
I went through the whole phone bill, and their phone bill actually isn't that high for what they have. Most of it is because when, we were working with, the retail stores, they would, like you normally do when you go out and buy a phone, they tack it on your cell phone bill. So they're paying off lots of phones on that bill, that's why their bill is so high. But with the new contact that we have actually at US Cellular Corporate, that gives us the government rates. And when you buy a new phone, you actually get phone at a discounted rate off of what it is to go out to a retail store. And then they offer us, basically, we buy it outright at first, so that way you're not paying for it over the term. Yeah, I did review their bill and I looked at it, I'm like, there's nothing we can do to change this bill to make it any less. Most of the costs involved with it are,
I think we should add to the vehicles.
they are using that in the vehicles, but they're using that over FirstNet. They've got, what was it,
Right,
three of them with FirstNet,
okay,
that they've already set up with.
that's the same service we have.
And I think they have US Cellular they have some tablets and most of their, cell phones are US Cellular.
so,
But their CenturyLink would be the one that we would be migrating away from, which they had issues with that for a while. They've had a phone line that just randomly gets shut off and disconnected at the pole.
And
Yeah.
if I may ask, why isn't this going before the committee that we've got set up for those ARPA funds?
Well, we do have, I mean, we've talked about some of that already in our meeting, but I put it on the agenda because I want you guys to act on each individual invoice separately.
Okay.
but
so that we have tracing.
Us three still,
You guys still
Have
have
the
to
final
final.
say, I
Yes.
get that.
Yes.
I figured that the committee would come forth and say, this is our list of
No, we
wants.
do.
no,
well,
no,
we
we
do.
haven't met yet.
We've met,
I thought you
But
Yes,
not
but
currently.
not,
but this was kind of already on that radar, it's just, we kind of had to light a fire under Raycom when we had that meeting a couple
Yeah.
weeks ago, I
We've been trying
asked
to get
about
hold
it.
of them since October to
Yeah.
get this done. And finally, we had a meeting lined up between four different vendors on the phone calling me, basically discussing how this was going to all integrate and work and everything, so. This is basically what we need to get everything
Going,
started and going, and
yep.
only question I got, Ben, is that if we go with this Raycom deal, they're gonna want like 20% down, you know? I mean, it's peanuts compared to what we're
I
spending.
mean, they just literally just sent me over this quote, I'm assuming we sign off on it, and then when they get it all said and done, we'll pay the final invoice on
Okay,
it.
Yeah,
that's,
it's not the
that's what
final invoice.
I would just assume that it works and we pay you.
I'm sure they would work that out as much as we're gonna be spending with Raycom.
Say, most vendors I typically deal with, besides one, they usually don't require a down payment or anything like that.
Okay. Well, I'll make a motion then.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to pay it yet, like you said.
No, I know it, but just to go forward.
Yeah,
I
Yeah, I
will
think
second
there's
your
probably
motion.
gonna be
Okay.
time on ordering it and waiting for it, and I have no idea if we'll be, I mean,
Yeah,
we'd like to have it in before tornado season heats up here, but who knows
well,
with the chip shortages, I don't even know what model it is and where they're getting it from, if they have one in stock, or I have no idea on that sort of it, back end stuff. Yeah, I figured just, let's get it accept, the proposal accepted, that way we can
okay,
get it.
so this guy's out of Davenport. Okay. And see, everybody I'm dealing with now is Marshalltown.
probably
Okay.
they're specializing in, I
Say, I don't know, I know that the group that we had to reach out to were the ones that were specialized in their Zetron E911 system.
Okay. All right, well,
Do you think this is gonna happen before tornado season or before the end of the
I
year?
can't honestly say.
You
I
gotta-
hope so,
yeah,
but I
ask.
can't tell you with global chip shortages.
Yeah.
If they,
gotta
I
ask.
mean, there's some stuff I hear people ordering, they're waiting a year and a half for equipment because of how hard it is. I mean, or they could have a whole stock of them sitting somewhere, I have no idea.
Okay, well, I made a motion.
I
Mr.
second
Primer
it.
seconded. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Go forward, Ben.
Get moving forward on it.
I'll let you have this back.
I got it.
You got one?
Yep.
I'll keep it in this folder,
You
so when we
keep it.
do go to pay it.
Yes.
I'm sure they'll send us an invoice.
Yeah, cause this is just basically the quote proposal thing.
It'd be nice to have that though, because the invoice that they
We
send
used to have
has
it,
be-
so when you take it away from us, you can't use it again.
That was something when we were putting it in, that was one of the main discussion points that they would need to work on getting this set up. And Brian with United Business had been emailing Raycom week after week, like, hey, let's meet up, guys, let's meet. And nothing, and Haley had a contact at Raycom that got me moving on it that day.
Well, yeah, they got a $7 million
Yeah,
contract.
weeks before we approved that, so.
So
Bring
that
up,
was one of the things, I'm like, well, if we're spending this much money with them, you'd think they, the simple little small.
and it was
solutions.
Diana, but she doesn't even deal with that, but she knew who to talk to, I guess, so.
Mhm. She made it work.
Thank you, Ben.
Yep.
I printed out your new budget sheets for them, told them about the big changes. So, yeah, since we're talking budget work,
It's a big difference,
a little bit.
from 67,000 to 670,000, 650,000.
The 65, yeah.
I looked at that and said,
That's why I give every department their own budget
$300
sheets back.
in here. What is going on?
And it was in the spreadsheet, so it was just, yeah.
Get rid of this.
Yeah, so if you wanna talk any budget work there, guys, you can do that.
I I do have one budget item, it'd be the 23 budget. Because we don't know on the vehicles, we're gonna put the bid out for next year's vehicles. Because they're talking at least 20 weeks delivery. Could be worse.
Could be worse.
Unless I'm gonna call the same people we went through last time and see if they happen to think they're gonna get a bunch of those pickups in somewhere.
Are they happy with those?
They are very nice, they work well. Just don't, yep. Then the stuff we wanted, the,
Yeah.
if
The
it's got a
electronics.
chip in it, you wait.
Yeah.
And then Haley's doing a project with COT Business Systems.
COT systems, yeah.
COT System.
Did they get a hold of you guys?
They're in, he's down there right now. Back in 2008, after the flood, they had many bankers' boxes of records cleaned. Well, they've been on shelves out there. Absolutely no way of finding anything in it. So we have been filing, going through everything, putting things back in order in boxes, and they're giving us a bid on scanning and putting this into our system.
I think they went to the city of Benton too,
Yep.
because it's ARPA funds approval, but.
Some of the things we're supposed to keep forever. Some of the things have a shelf life on them. So we're kind of wading through that. Stuff's been out there since 2008.
I think it'll be so much nicer to be able to search on
Yes.
it rather than digging through boxes and look at the time we'll save.
The neat thing about these people program is, they'll keep it on their server.
Yeah, it's backed up.
Yeah, we don't have to put it on ours.
It's a good backup regardless, if we had a tornado or a fire or something devastating, that we have all these important records kept for even like 100 years from now when we're gone, somebody can.
And I literally get rid of hundreds of banker boxes full of paper.
Wonder if we could, not that we have funds, but that clerk storage unit that we keep paying on.
I have no idea what's in that.
Well, we had to pay to move it from the title, it was used to be above the title company,
Mm-hmm.
now it's in one of Curdy's buildings. I've never had to go search in there, but
I don't even know where it's from.
it's one of those things we have to keep too.
I know it exists.
$50 a month we pay. I'd like to get moving on that because I know all the other counties are on the list too, get in line.
I thought we talked about delivering
Yeah.
scanners in the door.
Because I had to show him where we'd have to provide the rooms, and he had to measure our elevators and,
Sounds like their scanners is really good.
right, because I didn't want my books leaving the courthouse, so. So then Lex and I used, I don't know if it'll be all integrated so we could search each other's. I'm including the supervisor minute books, the old ones. I haven't talked about like old election records, but
You can look at it, kind of give you
yeah, did you sit down and show you how you can search? Yeah, or even like for COVID, if you look at remotely, to have to look at them.
they can customize it. As you wanna see it.
Yeah.
Not my area, but you can see what it would be.
hallway?
What's that one?
Fairboard.
Two things I wanted to be here for over.
Side. Oh,
I'll follow
they
you,
just
Rick,
give you something?
Okay.
if I can get up.
Can you count it? I had another fire department too, just so you know, that they're needing a fire truck, so
Okay,
I'm working with, he took over from Jeff Kaminga's spot.
okay,
I'm Keystone benefited.
okay.
So it's Keystone Fire Truck?
Yep. We're just trying to work with the city clerk. Gina and I are researching it because the benefit of fire can't pay 400-some-thousand.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Keystone Fire thought the benefit of fire was gonna have enough cash to, but they don't. So even if we gift them the 10% match for lost, I don't know, we're trying to figure out how they can get moving on some of their funding too. Because I know we're already committed to Norway.
Yeah, and that's why,
I just don't know if they're gonna think of something like that.
If they get it ordered, it probably won't be here for,
Well, I don't know, but then if they were gonna ask for that revolving loan, I would need to know to push in that fund as well. Cause what's in there is committed for the Norway.
you're trying to make me feel better, but it ain't no better. It's actually worse.
Let me see.
It's the new one.
Yeah, look at the date on the bottom.
I'm looking at the bottom line.
I wonder if
Go to page 8,
that, I wonder if
Go to-
that one.
go to page 8, all the way to the back. Look at your total dollars.
Oh, the two funds. Yeah, that one went up. That one went down.
This is the old one.
I'm just looking at how he went. Has he changed the withholdings for the salaries? Let me go and tell you what line items we changed.
I thought he had a $4 million budget, and now looking at this,
Let's see.
he's got a $5 million
He
budget.
did.
it's just $1 million.
Let me look at your old one here.
Okay.
1060. Well, that's why he had it. He fat fingered on his end, cause that was only 60 and he raised it, so that's why. He told me he had 650 in the spreadsheet, so I already caught it and reduced it on this one.
Okay,
He's looking at, when I give the department heads their budget sheets, I export it all into an Excel
mm-hmm.
and then I import it in. Let me double check this other one.
Cause it's actually higher. $1.6 million.
And I don't know if he.
Thinking they had a grand total, didn't they? No, they didn't.
Yeah, so that was the only one he thought on the general basic, but I gotta look at general stuff.
That's excess. Oh, I gotta look on her. I'll let you figure it out. I'm gonna go to the restroom.
Yep.
stapled and everything.
Yeah, look at that.
There you go, young lady.
Yep.
Are you doing kind of a recap on all these departments?
Yep.
Sort of a.
Yep, so the ones I printed you today were some that I did some big changes, and then I'm gonna do like the thick one that I do. It's all departments together, and then it'll show you all those like medical examiner, Department 99,
Okay,
Department 31, court. Some of those I just have to plug in amounts to guesstimate.
okay,
So
perfect, thank you.
once we get all these allocations requested done, I
Okay.
think we should be about dwindling now. I don't think of anybody else, I mean, other than the fair board's coming. I just don't wanna kill trees if I keep changing it until I feel confident. Yeah, I don't know what he was looking at. I think he's looking at, cause I starred the ones I changed. I'll show you what he was looking at, his own spreadsheet, which I already,
Cause like I said, the new one's higher. And it's gonna be higher because of the pay raise.
well, and the insurance we tweaked.
Yep.
Yep. So, let me see what
That's
he
why
sent.
you made me happy for a while when
I
you
know,
said it was
sorry.
down $1 million.
Well, he made it.
And it
it's-
actually went up.
Yeah,
Yeah, when I look at his spreadsheet, so I caught those beforehand, I guess. I didn't feel like, but when he showed me his spreadsheet, it looked like I still had the big, his fat fingered 670.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I'm looking at his original.
Do you ever get a chance to look at Mark Greenlee's report?
I did. Highlighted quite a bit of it.
So Thursday night, we still have to meet here at 4:30 because that's what we published.
Yeah.
And that did, I talked with Myron on that. He thought too, since we got it, we're gonna have one proof of pub from the Gazette for sure. He said he wouldn't have redone it because, so it's gonna be in the library tomorrow. It was on our website,
Okay.
it was on Benton today, and we published it in the Gazette. Because we still did our due diligence for the advertisement.
Alright.
And you probably contacted some that you thought were gonna bid on it, right?
I tried.
Okay, well, so far I've only got the
Cool.
one. Yeah, I've only gotten one, so,
You should be getting another one though. The one that I gave you,
yeah,
you should be getting another one. That guy called, one of them called me yesterday morning, and another guy called me yesterday afternoon.
okay.
And the one guy yesterday morning, I don't wanna quote no
Yeah.
names, but, he was up here Friday, Thursday or Friday.
Did he
He
come
got
over
the
here?
map
Okay,
from you.
from,
or-
yep, Gina gave it to him.
Okay, then he come here and looked at it and all that. That's
Okay.
when he called me and,
Yep, that's the one that I asked if he called you, but he must have just been slower at getting
yep,
to you.
yep, he called me yesterday morning.
Okay, so that's on at 4:30 for here, Thursday night. And then I'm gonna send out that reminder to the cities still on the contract, even though but we still need to get the ball rolling on that, so.
So we have a meeting 4:30 Thursday.
Yep,
Right
here,
Right here, yep.
to open those bids.
Yep.
Yep, and then we go to Farm Bureau at 6.
Morning, Myron.
And I should be able to have all those things done and ready to print for you, I hope. 'Cause if we hear today and some of that stuff,
You never got them pictures of the
do you
deal
want me-
for it off?
maybe, Myron, did you bring pictures by chance?
A picture,
Okay.
couple pictures.
Do you guys want to see pictures? I can see if somebody will print them for me.
Of,
Tree.
of the tree.
Or I can pull them up on here
That
and they can
would
look
be-
too. Let me just do that. I'll just pull them up, Tracy, and they can look
No,
at
this
them.
is fine.
Heck,
Okay.
cool.
Last Monday,
Tuesday.
Tuesday, 33rd Avenue, between 59th Street Trail and 59th Street. We were trimming trees, had piled them up in the ditch. The guys were scooping them up, loading them up into the truck. When they hit the branch of the tree in the picture you have in front of you, broke that branch off and it ripped that branch down the trunk almost to the ground level, I think. The property owner of that property called and left a message in our office Tuesday night that indicated there were 4 trees along the fence line that were planted, allowed those trees to remain where they're located. As you can see in the picture that, the first sheet that I gave you, the picture was taken from the road. You can see the tree and you can see the fence line, hopefully, that shows up behind the tree. You look at the second sheet that I gave you, Tracy, just immediately south of these 4 trees is a box culvert that still looks pretty new. Thanksgiving of this year will make year 25 since it was poured, Tracy, just for information. If you look just immediately, the picture is bottom of the page is south, the top of the page is north. So if you look above the box culvert as it's drawn, you can see the fence line as it was then and is today. Kind of the checkered lines, the grid that you can see on that plat represent 10 feet. So if you look at what would be about the center of the road, you'll see that about 25 feet east of the center of the road is where this fence line is in that tree. If you look at the fence line on the west side of the road as well as south of the creek, you'll see it all looks like it's about 33, 34 feet off the center of the road. The third sheet that I gave you, we took off a beacon. You can kind of see the 4 trees just north of that box culvert that show up pretty well in that photo, aerial photo. where those 4 trees are planted. And as I may have stated with the first picture in the second sheet, the trees are on the road side of the fence line. Had Randy run out there just this morning real quick. The tree in question is 8 feet off the edge of the road. It's about a 22 to 24 inch diameter tree. Going back to the phone message, the property owner indicated those trees were allowed to be there and they were expecting some restitution for the damage done to the tree. Looking at some of my records, it looks like there was some work done on that road in 1950. The wood bridge that was at this location prior to the county putting the box culvert in 97, and 2 roadway pipes to the north and a roadway pipe to the south were all done in 1950. So my inclination is that the road was improved in 1950 to some degree. No formal plans that I'm aware of because I couldn't find anything in my office. I don't know how easy it would be to look through Board of Supervisors minutes from 1950.
That's what we were just talking about, when those get scanned, won't that be nice?
And knowing that in the, 20s, 30s, 40s, I'm not sure exactly at what point did maybe not so much record keeping get taken care of, but when the state of Iowa was working its way out of dirt surfaces to rock surfaces, my understanding was that property owners pretty much gave up the existing road right-of-way to a 66-foot right-of-way in return for getting rock out on the road in front of them. And whether it was the county or the contractor doing the work, the ditches were cut, the material thrown up in the road, and kind of did some road improvement, shaping, and then putting rock surface on top. I say that all because I don't know what records, what may or may not be recorded from this standpoint. What you have is a tree right now that's 4 trees that are about 8 to 10 foot off the edge of the road. I would argue they're probably a roadside hazard and leaves the county with some liability concerns with the size of the tree and the location versus a property owner that has indicated that the county allowed those trees to remain and is asking for the county to reimburse them for a loss that they anticipate with this particular tree. Tracy had went out and looked at that tree damage himself, and I think maybe you've talked about it or a little bit here before I got here this morning, but Tracy asked me to put it on the agenda while I was here. And he had asked the question of, is there anywhere to look anything up if we do have anything recorded? Now, with the era and what I could find in my office, I don't find anything. Whether we would find anything in the Board of Supervisors minutes from about that era, certainly could look in the recorder's office to see if any right-of-way was, if there was any transaction between the county and the property owners during that era for that road, and whether there was any language that included that there or not. But it still boils down to trees that are 8 feet off the edge of the road. And the fence line that's being used more or less to keep the livestock out from the roadway is on the opposite side of this tree.
I got more pictures here, guys.
Just looking at my notary stamp, Myron, it might be expired.
You guys get together.
Okay.
And we'll just go down here. There's where the damage was,
Yep.
of course. See the fence here?
Right.
There's more damage, same picture.
And see, I got back at an angle, so you
Mhm.
could see where the fence is behind
Right.
the trees.
We've gotten our quotes and bids on all that,
And
yeah.
where the road is, where
Yeah.
the
And I
ditch
haven't
is,
included all
yeah.
those old books downstairs. 'Cause I think that'll be
Same way
nice,
there.
just to be able to like
There's about
search
5 foot
keywords or,
from the trees to the fence.
yeah, like you wouldn't have to
on
come
the
to the
side.
courthouse, you could do it from your office.
Okay.
Do you guys have anything you're interested in?
The only question would be if the prior supervisors in the 50s, 60s, 40s give some kind of,
Variance?
yes, that the trees stay.
And whether it was, not gonna dispute whether or not it did or didn't happen, I guess the question might be, was it verbal or was it written? And in the case of some situations that I think may still exist in the Benton County that may have been verbal arrangements with past Board of Supervisors, when do those verbal agreements cease?
This almost sounds like a legal question. But from the information you're giving us, it sounds like it's in the right of way.
That's the way I look at it. It's on county property.
And so if it's in the right of way, why would we compensate a property owner? I get it that they're nice trees, looks like a walnut tree,
It's all 4 more.
okay?
I thought I had last week was maybe the old roadway was a 40-foot easement, and they put that on the old right-of-way line. Well, that may or may not be the case, but not having the exact location of the center of the road, the approximate center of the road this morning measured out to the center of that tree was 24 feet is what Randy measured this morning, so.
Instead of 33.
It's, well, let's say the tree was planted when the road was still a 40-foot road bed, right away, 20 feet both ways.
Mhm.
The tree's out there 24 feet to the center of it. Give or take a little bit of a judgment guess on the center of the road, that tree may not have even been planted. Well, might have been planted outside of the 20-foot right of way on the property owner's side, but with the road improvements that have been done since, and the right of way being wider, at least using the fence line, the code section was added here 10 years ago or so about basically calling all secondary roads 66-foot right-of-way width unless shown, recorded shown otherwise, because a lot of old road descriptions just talked about a center line of a road established here. They never gave you the width.
So not knowing the exact location of the center of the road, because we all know things can shift, if that's 24 feet to the center and the fence is 5 foot beyond that, the fence is actually in the right of way.
Yeah, the fence
Potentially.
right now is, what, 2 feet behind that tree, roughly?
Well, I
maybe?
thought it's further than that. I thought about 4 or 5 foot.
But you can see from the.
Sure.
The plat, or plans view that I gave you with the box culvert, survey for 97, that,
Right.
The fence line that, I don't think the fence line that's shown in that plan is any different than the fence line that's out there right now. From the box culvert right now, north about 200 feet, you encounter a driveway to what I believe is probably an old dwelling, an old house that probably.
There's one on either side, yep.
But the one on the east side, I think, is an old house that in 1950 and earlier was probably occupied by the current family owners' ancestors.
Well, that fence don't look like it's new.
No, it's got some age to it. I mean, I don't believe the county owes property owner anything for that tree. Now, the question that might come up in the near future is whether those trees remain or whether those trees need to be removed. But, initially, we thought we had done a poor job of trimming trees. We, meaning administration, what I learned from the guys out there is that that branch got knocked down accidentally while loading. The individuals went to the property owner and apologized for accidentally doing such. Property owner didn't want us any time or hear anything from those involved. They were thinking solely that these trees were never supposed to be touched and that the county owes them.
Is there any other place in the county, in the whole county, where there's trees in the right of way
Yes,
that,
well, I stopped you before you finished your sentence, but yes, there are still areas in Benton County where trees are located in the road right of way. In many cases, the reason some of them are still there are somewhat like this. Either somebody said they don't need to be disturbed, or a property owner has a very strong personal connection to that and has been out there making sure that nobody from the county has removed said trees. Unfortunately, those trees have gotten that much bigger over time, and at least in one case I know of where the land changed hands and the new property owner wanted to know when the county was gonna take said trees down, and
Well, it becomes a, not only here, but in many other
I mean,
locations, there's,
the other locations are minimal,
well,
but, but there are still some locations in the county where we have trees that are
Sure.
getting more sizable and,
it becomes a liability issue. Somebody rolls down the highway and runs off the road and strikes a tree, who's liable? Well, at that point, attorneys are gonna probably figure out whose property the tree is on. And an abstract would probably show that portion, I would assume. And then the liability would fall upon whoever the owner of that property would be. And if it's county, the county would be liable.
I don't know how all that works, but you still own to the middle of the road.
yeah, I was gonna add that, Gary, that probably 95, 98% of the roadways in Benton County are easements, so the property owner actually owns to the center of the road, but doesn't pay taxes for that easement area. There are a few roads, certainly all of the state roads in the county are by fee title, and that the DOT owns that right of way. There are a tiny percentage of county roads that are fee title where the county actually owns the right of way. It is owned by the property owner, and it's just a road easement in the vast majority of the cases. In this case, the property owner actually does own to the center of the road, and there is a road easement there. But the road easement still allows the county to address brush control, and Benton County's practice has been, long before I ever came here, is to virtually try to keep trees free out of the right-of-way line to right-of-way line. Now, like I said, that's not completely true in all areas, but that has been our goal and interest in cutting back trees and brush ongoing year after year.
Still falls down to almost a liability case, obviously.
The guy that's raising the ruckus is fairly old.
Probably, like I say,
It's even in a heritage farm.
What are we talking compensation? Wants compensated for the tree?
I think the tree will end up dying.
Well, I understand that, but wants compensated for the tree? So what's compensation?
He never said. I don't know if he give you a figure.
no.
I think if we start compensating for this, we're opening up a can of worms.
Well, I look at it, I look at it, I think it's on county property.
It looks
County
like,
right away
it looks like it could be a valuable
would be
tree.
the way to put that,
Correct.
yes. And if we're responsible for clearing debris and brush from the right of way, if there was an accident, then it would fall upon the county
Mm-hmm.
and not the property owner. And I'm not an attorney, but that's the way I would see it,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because there's an implied agreement, obviously. Okay? So,
When were these county roads gravelled? Probably in 1940?
I don't know, like I say, because of the roadway pipe and the bridge work that was done, I'm guessing that this road was improved, in 1950. Now, looking at a 1937 aerial that I have in my office, the south end of this road basically is, well, the entire road is virtually north, or as it is right now, it runs true north and south. On the south end of that road, there is a farmstead that has a short lane, I think, off to the east, just north of 59th Street Trail. That road used to have a curve in it in 1937 that traversed north up past this property owner to that four-way intersection. My hunch, and I don't know this for sure, is that maybe in 1950, they took that curve out, straightened it, and then replaced all the roadway pipes in there and probably did some grading on that strong half mile. And whether or not that's when the road may have went out to 33 feet and they chose not to do it in that, whether it was 50 feet at the time, I don't know. I can't tell from that aerial nor any other records that I've got, whether it was 40 or what, but you've got basically three other fence. You got north of the creek on the west side, south of the creek on the west side, south of the creek on the east side, that all looks to match your 33 feet, you know? It's just a fence line that's closer to the road from the creek north to that old building site, which could have been something that sometimes you jog around a little bit, but nonetheless, you have four trees that you can see with physical evidence with the fence line that's not brand new, you know, it's got some age to it, that, you know, you've got four existing trees that are sitting on the ditch side of the fence line that has been accepted, if nothing else, as your easement limits to work with.
okay,
I think a lot of these roads were rocked in about 1950.
well, neither here nor there. The bottom care of the debris. Now, if the tree comes down and that's a walnut tree, who's gonna take it down and who's going to dispose of it? You know, if this is a valuable tree, do we allow does the county just take and cut it up and burn it? Or does it go to a sawmill? Is the property owner gonna take it to a sawmill? You know, and that's not what anybody's talking about here, but if it dies, it dies. That means somebody's gonna clean it up.
Well, let me talk to him again, cause I told him I would call him
We'll get
again.
back to him,
Yeah.
okay? So,
My suggestion was, when I told him that, I said, my opinion, you should cut the tree down. As you can see with the ratchet straps, the bark is slivered, and that's what's kinda holding the bark on, but
Yeah,
Also, it's worse than what the picture looks.
Yeah, I think so, from what I
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah.
It's hard to see it, but you might be able to see the ratchet strap, right above
Yeah.
the step ladder.
yeah, well, I had good pictures on
Okay.
my computer, so.
yeah.
Let me talk to him, and like I says that, in a week's time, hopefully, he's a little more understanding,
Not so elevated.
Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Cause this happened on Tuesday, and he called me at 5 o'clock Tuesday night, and
Yeah, he called our office after everybody had left for the day.
Mhm.
Between 4, I think it was a little after 4 o'clock when the message was received. And actually called multiple numbers at our office, and
Good.
he called back at 7:30 the following morning, I think, and talked to maintenance superintendent. And that's what generated our pictures type deal, and find out what was going on.
Okay.
Well, it looks like, I don't know, looks like it could have some value, I can't really tell without looking at it.
it's a really tall tree.
Yeah.
All 4 of them are. But
Can we pull them up, the ones you took?
I did on mine.
Okay.
I let them guys look at it. All right, let's move on. I'll talk to the guy and
Continuing to fill open positions in secondary roads. And another equipment operator, I'm looking to hire an individual by the name of Rodney Schmucker. Rod was going to start next week. Rod stopped at my office yesterday afternoon. I had actually read Monday morning that he had a family member pass away Friday night, and he asked if we could change the date. So rather than next Tuesday, the 15th, I'm looking at Tuesday, the 22nd for him to start.
That's in your resolution already.
That is in the resolution. I had
Yep.
changed it after Rod stopped and talked to me yesterday afternoon at my office, so.
Okay.
And his starting wage will be $21.25.
Need a motion to approve that new hire?
I
By
have a
resolution.
so.
Make that motion.
Second,
all in favor by resolution.
Primer, aye?
beer shank aye.
Seaman, aye.
There's 2 of them there, Tracy.
Okay.
Did you bring your notary? or
Yeah.
not? Okay. You said something about a date. and I'm
Well,
like,
at
oh,
first
maybe
I
I'm
thought it was a
postponing.
term, now I'm doing different. Can't remember, because I think they send them to your home.
Whatever address you
Yep.
used for
So I
your
was like, I
notary,
had to look it up, but I'm good.
I believe, I can't remember. I
Mm-hmm.
had a notary at one time and I let it just expire because I
Use it as often.
didn't use it as much. And then when Ben got his, it made it just easier for him to do it for me.
Yep. Then you can just send him to the locations, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
We still gotta do the box culvert.
Yes.
We good with the employees now? We got enough, everything squared
No, I'm
away?
short on 1 or 2 mechanics, at least one to get me back to the same town I had because of some of the workload we have and some activities. The question has been brought to my request about maybe hiring 2 mechanics. I have an offer out to an individual right now I'm waiting to hear back on, and depending on his response, might dictate a little bit on how my thoughts are and whether I'm looking to hire 1 or 2 mechanics. 32nd Avenue, south of Highway 30, 2 miles, 75th Street. Probably been heard a number of times, particularly with the traffic that runs between that and 32nd Avenue. Well, between that T intersection and 32nd Avenue currently is a short wood bridge that we've talked about before, got plans to replace it with a box culvert. In order to do the necessary improvements, construction as well as slopes for the new box culvert is gonna impact that intersection and is gonna impact 4 property owners, basically the 4 quadrants, so to speak, of that intersection. The northwest and northeast of the T, and then on the south side of the road, it's actually a property within Pete's Addition, and then a property adjacent to it. So with that, we needed to acquire some permanent and temporary easements from all of those 4. Not permanent and temporary for each of the 4, but needed that before that. And I had hired JCG Land Services to establish land value for the area, and then also go out and negotiate with property owners to get the purchase agreements approved and by the property owners. And so I have all 4 purchase agreements today back from them to go ahead and approve on our end. While we were doing things just for their research and recommendation was to do, I think it would be the Pete's Addition lot, treating it as a residential lot, and that almost $17,000 an acre was the recommended, and researched it down to square feet, so it was 39 cents per square feet. That type of residential lot would actually be about twice that, but that ground that we're buying for the box culvert's actually in a floodplain, so their recommendation was to go with those numbers. With the ag land, similarly, it's in the floodplain. Their comparisons were finding around $11,000 an acre, so $5,000 an acre or 11 cents a square feet for the ag land on the other 3. And then they were using 8% for temporary easements. Now, all of them had fences there that need to be removed and replaced, so it's actually more in costs for damages to the property owners with some trees in some cases and removing and replacing fences.
These are all temporary easements.
Some of them are temporary easements, and some of them are permanent easements, and some of them are both temporary and permanent easements, depending on the property owner. If I start with, how about let's just use the center of that intersection as a focal point and say the northwest property owner, which would be Marcel and Suzanne Sebeka. Basically taking a triangle out of the corner of that field there, 7,655 square feet. So with those numbers, you got $845 for the permanent easement, $3,316.19 for fence, landscaping, other damages to the property, for a grand total of $4,161.19.
That's a pretty good deal. If you're gonna pay them and put them in a new bridge too.
Both Sebekas are pleased to know that the new bridge is gonna be wider. I know, if not Marcel's case, at least watching a semi one day, trying to go south on that road and turn and try to go west, he could not make the turn at the, because of the railing on the side of that bridge. And ended up having to go east and work his way around. And with this box culvert going in there, that road will be wider, there won't be the railing on that, and there will not be a problem for ag equipment, semis and tractors, trailers to get around this intersection regardless if they're going east or west, or coming primarily, I guess, going south and west, or coming from the west to go north. So I've got the purchase agreement that needs to be notarized, or needs a notary, and Haley said she brought hers with her, so.
They already signed off?
They have all signed off on
Cool.
this.
Okay.
JCG Land Acquisitions
Mhm.
met
Mhm.
in person with all of these people. Victor Sebetka's a trust,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the trust members lives out of state. That one was handled through the mail, but I have all the originals in my hand, and that JCG met with each of those people at their place and got all of their signatures.
Is that still
Do you
Pete
need
Buckingham?
these as
What's that?
Is Pete, does he still work for JCG?
I don't know. There was Brianna Keeney that I think was the one that that physically met with all of the people, and then Justin Walton has reviewed all of the paperwork.
I guess maybe the guy that originally started them. This was in-
do you need to do these individually or as a group?
We,
We could probably do it one if we just individualize the names and amounts, right?
Okay.
If you want to I'll write them.
Except for Marcel.
I think she said to do it all in one.
You
for-
can do it
Oh, you
all
can
in
do it all in
one,
one?
probably. I mean, whatever.
Okay.
That
Yeah,
way we
and
can just
then-
put them at individual names and amounts.
Okay.
working counterclockwise around that focal point. The southwest corner in Pete's addition lot is owned by an individual by the name of Robert Harris. He has both a permanent easement needed and a temporary easement. Biggest share of the downstream side of that stream is on his property. The permanent easement is 4,740 square feet. The temporary easement is 5,060 square feet. The permanent easement value is $1,850. The temporary easement is $305. Landscape and other damage is $400. Grand total of $2,555. Property owner number 3, southeast of that focal point, is owned by Russell and Kimberly Marcus. That is a permanent easement totaling triangle shape 990 square feet. And $110 for the permanent easement, $1,606.01 for landscaping, other damages, for a total of $1,716.01. And the fourth, incidentally, the field entrance that Victor has into that field in that corner of the intersection, as well as the roadway pipe that we have that runs water from the east side of the road to the west side of the road on the north side of that T, will all need to be dug up and relayed, which and shifted a little bit, but don't need to take any permanent ground from Victor. It's just to do that work as well with the box culvert. So the temporary easement is 1,120 square feet. And the dollar amount $100 for the temporary easement, and then landscaping and other damages, $1,539.48, for a grand total of $1,639.48.
If you went 1, 3, and 4, who's property owner number 2?
Harris.
Robert Harris
Oh.
is number 2, Russell and Kimberly Marcus was number 3.
I must have missed number 1. then.
Marcel and Suzanne Sebeka.
Okay. I'll get it when I notarize it.
So there's 2 Sabitkas.
Brothers,
Yes.
either side of the road.
So you need a motion to authorize the permanent and temporary easements to both Sabitkas, Harris, and Marcus.
Correct.
That's my motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I think total somewhere
Either one
around
of
10
those,
grand,
right?
isn't it? Pretty close.
Buyer's approval.
2-7, ain't it?
2-8.
I lost today.
Before we adjourn to that maximum hearing, I'm gonna have to change the date, because I just talked to
You
you.
good? Who's on that one?
I'm gonna move it to March 1st. Yeah, if you wanna amend that motion.
I will amend that.
March 1st at
motion.
9:30.
March 1st at 9:30.
Yeah, but we'll leave the other one at March 15th.
Okay. Would, the levy?
The maximum levy
Okay.
notice will be, the hearing on that will be March 1st,
Okay,
and then the
yeah.
actual fiscal year 23 budget is on March
The other's
15th.
gonna be on the
Yep.
1st. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
You seconded it.
I'll second.
Amend that, baby.
You did, didn't you?
Yeah, he seconded it originally.
Good morning, David. Yeah, we
Did that email for Ike Bailey?
Yep, I'll have your letter by this afternoon.
thank you.
Perfect, thank you.
Myron, while they're signing that, I'll ask a question. An email regarding County Home Road here, known as County Home Road. I don't
Yes.
know the number. Is that scheduled to be resurfaced at any time? I couldn't find my 5-year plan for that. I'm sorry.
I'm not sure where I have it on the 5-year plan exactly, and I know that I will be bringing you a new 5-year plan
Okay.
here shortly. But right now, I think if things would go well with other projects and grouping some stuff together, that not this year, but construction year 2023 would be a good likely time frame on doing some resurfacing on
Okay.
County Home Road.
All right, thank you.
And I have an email from an individual who was out there with a similar question that I just haven't got back to. Whether it's one and the same, I don't know.
I'm sure it probably is.
I just wanna get that one out, so this one's on there.
I'll fire back.
Do those need to be signed by the
Just
rest
by
of
the
the
chair.
Very good.
Just the right amount to use on that one. That one just with the permanent.
Yes, it's on that sheet.
Hand that over to
Oh, it was. That's on the one I didn't catch it.
I'm a factor at.
I'm glad. Well, I found the bridge
I'll
and
just put the
culverts.
total, is that okay?
Found that up there in my
Got it. I'll just use the
closet, so to
total.
speak.
Once a month, somebody will jump me about something.
Yeah, I couldn't find this.
When's that, road from Highway 30 into Blairstown scheduled to get redone? Is that this summer?
Is hoping this construction season that it might be tough to get it all put together. It would be a straightforward project, it's just getting somebody to put the plan set together right now.
And how's that gonna work up there with Highway 30?
That would be something that would have to be coordinated if that was, well, most of our resurfacing projects have been done under traffic, just with pilot cars, so you're not closing the road, but I also know that 21st Avenue intersection at Highway 30 will have to be closed at one point in order to do the work they're doing, at least half of it type of deal, but it's gonna shut off the intersection to the south with through traffic. Likewise, 16th Avenue is gonna be impacted at some point this construction season, that they'll have to do the same thing to close
May I
it.
copy this?
Are you gonna resurface south of Blairstown at the same time?
It would make the most sense, and if we needed to do anything on the road going to the landfill or to Hannon, to maybe try to do that all together at the same time.
Yeah.
I didn't put date
Would make
23
sense.
on
Are
it,
there
but my
any
expired
small
23.
damage?
Hoping I didn't date it
Yes,
this.
there are. Yes. Okay.
Hi, Nicole.
I think I might drag one down here.
But you're thinking it'll be late this summer at the earliest?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know when
Put it in there too. Thank
the
you.
highway
Thank you.
is gonna be paved or moved or? Thank you.
Good morning.
I would anticipate just resurfacing with that.
Appreciate it.
Is that the only copies you have?
I have 4, yes, so they, I
You
made 4
didn't need any
copies.
additional?
What's the date of the?
Got one you didn't put the date on.
You can look-
It's hard to get your
Month.
copy. Yeah, of this thing, packet,
Yeah.
as long as I get it back. There you go, sir. I'm gonna run to the restroom first. And I gave you your resolution, right?
I believe you did.
Yep. Okay.
Find it odd that I asked for this, and I'm just now seeing it, but I still haven't been given it, I'm borrowing.
We'll get you a copy, we'll get a copy.
When would that be exact?
What's that?
When would that be exact? You folks wonder why sometimes it's hard to do business. You get a simple request, you come to the meeting, and I'm having to borrow a copy of something I requested of you folks over a month ago. That you said you'd have no problem getting me, and then you just say, well, if you need one, I'll get you one. Seriously?
Sorry about that. We were gonna come, I know you requested it, we were gonna come back, but we wanted to get everything in line.
And you don't bring me a copy. Oh, I'm the one who made the request. Seems to be a blank, backwards way of doing business.
We're providing the information to the supervisors, which we're
I
supposed
made the
to.
request,
We'll get you.
and I was
he's
told
getting
by
a
you
copy right
folks
now.
you'd give me a copy.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I get, well, if you need a copy, we'll get you one.
Okay, I'll.
You
I guess-
understand my, it
Sure.
seems like I'm getting some
Yes.
runaround from you.
I'm sorry.
Apology accepted.
Okay.
Stuff shouldn't be this hard, you guys have been doing this for years. Shouldn't be that hard.
What do you mean, what?
If someone makes a request and you tell them to give them the document, actually give them the document.
Next time I will have it in your email box within a week. Promise.
We've been going through some stuff, getting things updated.
I just made copies this morning, I guess I didn't make enough copies, so. I was bringing it here to the supervisors and
We've got them now.
No.
Okay, Dale, what'd you come up with so far?
Well, I'm gonna turn it over to Nicole,
Yep. So,
go through this,
Um,
what we
yep.
decide what.
the
we're gonna
little
do.
pile that I gave you there, includes our articles of incorporation. It has the most recent update from October 16, and then bylaws, dating back from 1987. There's some information in there. Jennifer's is around it, we're supposed to update every 4 to 5 years. She was working on the update, we just got the first draft of it, so we haven't finalized the most recent one here for this year, 2022, which is, so we're finishing that up. The next packet is the, financials that we provide to the state, association affairs every year. It goes from 2014 through 2021 that we filed in November. All of these have been provided to the newspaper over the years. I have in the file all the copies of receipts that what has been printed and publicly published. Dave had asked about that publishing. Jeff Holmes had confirmed after that last meeting with us that he could see that it had been published the last 5 years. And we have those all on file too, but this is a copy for you guys on that. Then I just included just a copy of the beacon. What it shows is in the name of the Benton County Agricultural Society for those 3 things. The last meeting, I think, we were here, Gail had given you guys a copy of the estimate from the company for the total. We have currently invested $60,000 into that renovation already, from doing the ramp and the lower seating and fixing one of the support beams on the north end.
Got that read.
Pylons underneath.
Yeah, pylons. The remaining total is $170,000. The Fair Board we've agreed to put $50,000 down to get the project going. So we're looking for $120,000. So we're hoping to get a commitment from you guys for $40,000 a year from the lost funds for the next 3 years. We've put out a fundraising letter that we're working on, meeting with some different people and companies throughout the county to gather fundraising funds, which would then lower that amount of commitment from you guys as we go through the next 3 years. Some of the places we've offered a 3-year commitment that maybe they do $2,000 a year, whatever they would want to donate, that would come off of what we were asking from the county. I went to the city, I checked with the city on the city's lost funds. They have a resolution that 100% of their lost funds goes to the Benton Community Foundation, which in turn not 100% of the lost funds, excuse me. The 5% that's for nonprofits of the city's funds goes to the Benton Community Foundation, which in turn we have to fill out a grant application and we can get up to $2,000 a year through the city's lost funds through the Benton Community Foundation. So that application process will start here this spring, and I think they meet in like April or early May to finalize what the approval for those grant applications. And then there's also a grant just through the Benton Community Foundation that we can apply for too. Similar funding as far as, it kind of varies depending on what their investments do that year. We could get $500, we could get $2,500. It just kind of depends year to year. So that would all come off of what we would be asking for from you guys then at that point. So, and we plan on doing those the next 3 to 4 years, depending on what projects we have. So, I think that's, what else? Well, yeah, so as far as funding, we'll finance the balance with a loan and then repay that back over 3 years, so is the plan. And between fundraising and what we can get, for a maximum commitment from you guys, it would never be more than that. with our fundraising efforts and grant applications, so.
Can you,
Questions?
yeah, can you explain to me, I was looking over your financing that you have filed for the last couple of years. Not counting the year of COVID where you didn't actually have a fair, I understand that. But, like the grandstands, ain't that the fair income is, that's figured the grandstands? You know what I mean, or on your line item here? Is that the grandstands? I mean, you have stock car races, you know, on Sunday nights. You got concerts, you know, Boomtown. You should be making money on them, ain't you?
That's a set price, what we rent to them.
Yeah, so like for Boomtown, we rent the whole facilities for,
grounds.
like the whole grounds, because they
Two
collect.
buildings, bathrooms, campground. We just got a set amount at that.
May I ask what that amount is?
$3,000.
Then
But
what,
we also pay security off of that, plus utilities.
you know,
I mean, you run in Musco lights out there, they ain't cheap. That meter spins.
then like the guy that's in charge of the stock cars on Friday night or Sunday nights,
Yep, so he gets the gate admissions, he pays a flat rent every month, or for every
Event,
that he uses, he pays a flat rate, which is,
1,400,
yes, which did we,
which we actually lowered down. Cause he's put a lot of
Trying to-
money in on his own stuff.
he's been doing,
And he asked us if we lower our rent. I think it's 1,200.
and you gotta supply security on that too?
Yep,
Partial,
all of it.
not out the pit, so
Well, yeah, there's a couple guys out in the pits, but as far as the grandstands area, we pay the security there, which is usually 4 to 6 guys, depending on how big the event is.
So how much does that cost each event?
I don't know. I'm thinking for just security, I think we pay, or it was Mike Benson, $600 an event.
And how much does the lights cost?
It's 1 meter, it's primary meter, so we can't really, I can't get it
Tell
down
you
to it,
exactly
because
what
it
the
runs the whole
grandstand-
grounds. That 1 meter runs the whole grounds.
I'm just trying to get to whether you're making any money out of it or not. You know, by the time you get the security and the lights.
yep,
And
so,
we have beer sales too.
yeah, liquor, or the beer sales are.
Is that figured in on that income,
In the income,
the
yes.
beer sales?
Yeah,
Yes,
For your income line, does that have the races and Boomtown in it as well?
which one are you looking at, I guess?
I'm
Like just
I'm
the
looking at your
20
most recent one,
Okay.
and under fair income, the first line item. And I think the most recent one would be 2021 fiscal year. That's what I'm looking at.
It says October 2020 to September 2021.
Yep.
So fair income, that would have been liquor and what would come in? The non-fair income would be like the grandstand.
Okay, sure, that makes sense.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
And so that would be your liquor and
rent.
rent that you get
Yes.
for these events that you just described.
Yes.
Thank you.
yep.
Could you name the items you'd take, you know, over the next 3 years? You had the potential grant from the city, and what were the others? I'm sorry, I couldn't write fast enough.
The lost fund grant, yep,
From the city,
from the city, yep,
which would come off your request.
yes,
Yes,
which would come off the request, so
And-
that, a
and what else
maximum
was
of
there?
$2,000 on the lost. and then whatever we would, get in commitments from our from the fundraising.
Okay, fundraising,
Yep.
that's what my problem was, lead broke.
And I don't wanna derail this, by taking too much time, but if you had to explain, you know, in a couple of sentences, your grandstand renovation is gonna do what? I mean, are you rebuilding the whole thing, or you just kind of stabilizing it?
Yep, so the grants, we're putting, the updated seating, so safer, it's aluminum, you don't have the boards that would rotting or crack and have, essentially, you know, any issues there. The railings, the railings,
Railings are already
Railings,
done, box seats
yes.
are done. This would just be on
and
the 20 rows going up on the
the length of, under the overhang.
grandstand.
And is that
north
all,
and
is
south.
that all that's needed, or do you, need to do future things, and this is just kind of the first step?
No, this would be the end of the
This is
grandstand.
cleaned
Yeah.
all up.
Yeah.
This would update the grandstands for
We did the box seats, the walkway, this last
the
year.
wheelchair
We
ramp.
did the new railing going up all the way around. Before it was like 3 foot, now it's, 6 foot, so more safe.
It's a
Code.
safety thing, Dave.
Sure, no,
Because you know how wood rots over years.
Well, it just
They-
gets slick if it gets
fall
wet.
I've been up there called on Sunday nights to repair steps, and stuff.
We got
This can get us
handicap in
down.
there too, so we got that done.
So over 3 years, you're asking for a total commitment of 40,000 from the county's lost revenue funds, correct? And off of that would be any lost revenue funds or fundraising
Yes,
that you may do and/or grants that you may get, and any commitment from the city lost revenue funds, which is up to 2,000, okay? What is so your total request is 40,000 over 3 years, okay? About,
Rick,
yeah,
right.
yeah,
They have been receiving around, I think, 23,750, so is that in addition to that?
No.
Okay.
whoa,
yes,
yes,
the-
it is.
yes,
Well,
yes.
yeah.
So the
It's
20,
still-
that,
yeah.
the funds that we
You still-
receive
oh.
now,
Yeah,
It
that's the
turns-
way I took it.
Yeah.
Okay, I just
Yeah.
want to make sure I
Yeah.
heard it right.
Yeah, this
And
was
that's usually just ball used for 4-H
the
during
for
the fair.
fair,
the 23,750,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
That has to be designated just for, that can't be.
Earmarked for fair,
yep,
ribbons,
Sure.
Judges,
judges, showmanship.
yeah.
plus expenses of fairs.
And that's the allocation by Code of Iowa we have to provide every year.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Could you tell me what our current balance is
For
on the
lost?
lost
Mhm.
and what our approximate
Current
income
budget.
for, per year?
So,
please?
hold on, give me 1 second to pull it up. We just had a deposit the other day. So currently, like in January, we got 114,726.28. So it fluctuates. Back in July,
This is January for last year.
January 2022 currently.
Okay, all right.
That was our
Was-
last deposit.
Was how much, please?
114,726.28. So it usually fluctuates between 108 to 114 at the most.
Okay.
Last year it was down to like 86, 90,000 because of the
Okay.
COVID. And then in November, they do an adjustment period, and we receive 418,000. So let me do a pooled cash and tell you what's in there currently. Through January, since we're in the middle. Currently, we have 1.7 some million in there. But we have allocated some of that out, but
We're
obviously
paying for
not
a
that
fire
much.
truck.
Yeah, but that's out of the EMS revolving loan fund.
And I'm sorry, Haley, you have how much in there?
1.774,330.
We're gonna have to pay for another fire truck too.
Well, and that's, yeah, I don't know what they're doing for sure on that one, but, yeah, just keep that in mind, and then we do
You on
pay
the
for.
fire board, Keystone?
Yes, I guess I am.
Yeah, he come to me yesterday, they were thinking about getting a new fire truck.
I did hear that, yes. I haven't been to a meeting. Dan asked me last year to be on
So we're trying to help him out with options.
Okay.
so.
it. I haven't seen him. I was gonna ask him, and
Well,
I
those
don't know who it
funds
was.
are
He took
being
over for Jeff
repaid
from either.
though.
Dan Bush.
Oh, is that who it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
For
I
example,
kinda
in
got in on the end of
Norway,
it yesterday with him, so,
Yeah.
fire,
Yeah.
conversation.
And I was,
Yeah.
my personal feeling, I feel that this should be repaid too.
Can I ask a question? What's your capacity, seating capacity in the grandstands now, and did you say there's gonna be some additional after the improvement?
No.
No, it stays the same, it's just,
What's your rough capacity, if you don't?
Roughly 1,800 people. If you got a 2-foot butt.
So you're asking this in over 3 years, so you're gonna borrow up front or something?
Mhm.
Okay.
We went to the bank and they would do that.
I know I missed out on the last meeting, so.
I was gonna
Myself up.
suggest you go down and measure Iowa's seats, but I would not suggest that because it takes 2 seats
What's that?
to sit down.
Yeah.
you can measure the stadium and
For
Iowa
some
City.
people it doesn't, but for others
Yeah.
it takes two.
You gotta get rid of the guy next to you.
there is, this is invested, correct? It is making a small amount of interest, the lost revenue
Right,
funds.
yeah.
Yes, okay. And does it make 1%?
That would be a Melinda question, it probably just depends on what our balance is in the banks and
Sure.
or our banker lady.
I've got another general question, if I could. So
I'm
if
not sure
you
what
get
Yeah.
this funding, how soon would the improvement be made? What's
Um,
your anticipation?
The contractor called me this morning and, he was hoping we'd get materials and everything by April, but I doubt it. It's 8 to 10 weeks to get the materials through the contractor.
So your chances of having this up and running by fair is not super good, or? I mean,
He's ready to start
We're
the end
we're
of
hoping,
April.
yes, yes.
He's ready to start the end of April. It would be a matter of having the materials get here in time.
Yeah.
So that's what we're wanting to pin down so that we can get it,
Now, last time we
get
did
it ordered.
the box seats and stuff, that all came in a little less than 8 weeks. But with, you know what's going on, I couldn't give you a straight answer.
I was just
When are
curious.
you gonna order it?
We would like to be done by fair.
Yeah.
Would like.
It all
We'd
depends
like
what
to
It
get
all
it
happens.
ordered,
depends on the
like,
distributor.
What's your race
Here,
season
this-
starting?
What's that?
We're looking to commit
End of
to them in
March.
the next,
March
couple days.
31st is the
Oh.
first race.
Then it'll be ordered and.
I mean, there is
Everything.
So that
cushion
they
in
can
there
get
this
ordered.
current
Yeah.
It all
year,
depends what happens today, we'll order this
because the
afternoon.
regular
Yeah.
allocation is paid out of a different fund.
For, now, how many dollars you talking for cushion? The
Well, I
40?
always put
The
in,
40 or the 120?
oh, not up front, cause it would be the 40. I mean, cause we have different cushions for different things.
See, the only problem is, me, I can't speak for these guys. If we give you the 120,000 over the next 3 years, it scares me
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
about
it's not
how-
120, it's 40.
40 times 3.
40
3
times
years.
3.
40 over the next three each.
So 120 total.
Total of 100.
Okay, then I'm
Plus
on
what
the
we're
wrong
able
page.
to fundraise and
Okay.
get the grants.
All right,
My
That's
problem
an
is how
eye-opener.
many more other entities in the county is gonna come and ask for money, you know what I mean, that we give out to them. I would not have a problem loaning the money, and I wouldn't set you on a 3-year payback plan, you know what I mean? That's my opinion on it. I'm not speaking this thing, just throwing this out there. You know what I mean? It's, it's a situation that I don't like because seems like you're always scared to set a precedence. You know what I mean? We give you 120,000, you know, maybe the Isaac Walton wants a new trap shed out here. You know, I'm for it, but yet I have drawbacks on it, you know. And it would probably be easier, cause I mean, the fire departments are doing it. Keystone's gonna come and see us really soon.
Well, at least for the 10% match, I'm
Yeah.
sure we will.
One thing about it too, it's bringing a lot of revenue in during the, you know, summer months that way, through the county. As far as that goes.
With us being a free fair, you know, revenues aren't as high because we try to keep it as low cost and available to everyone. You know,
So that they're charging at admission fees.
we don't charge admission fees or parking or anything like that, you know, we're only, beer sales and,
Want to keep it as a county fair
Campers.
for the kids.
yep,
That's nice.
That's
Yeah.
what we want to do.
yeah.
And
With
for
4-H
somebody
and-
walks out the street, they don't have to pay $10 to
To
drive
come
their
in
car in
and
and park.
look at
you know.
everything and,
No, I'm
Enjoy it.
all for that. I'm all for that.
What's, if
You
I
know,
could,
that-
what's your plan to fundraise? You mentioned fundraising, but, you know, without revealing any state secrets, what do you think you're gonna be doing?
Go to the business, you know,
Yep.
go out and about. We're getting a letter, give the business and tell them what we're doing.
We'll try and run.
We're gonna try-
50-50 at the races where
yep,
you get 50% on who wins and the driver gets 50%. Just, it's a 50-50 game, and sometimes it'll make a bunch of money and sometimes it won't make
Sure.
nothing.
yeah.
But that's
One of the
our
ideas that
part
we're
to try to
working
help,
at.
yeah.
We hope if we could get half of it done, but I don't know that it ever's gonna do that. Maybe we'll only get 20,000 through the county, I don't know. But we're gonna spread it over 3 years for them too, if they want, you know, donate 5,000, donate, you know,
Personal
still working. Spread it out 3
donations,
years.
yeah.
Who knows?
We got 400-some thousand we gotta pay for a fire truck here in August, right?
No, we don't pay for all that. We
We don't
match
pay for
10%.
it all?
No, no.
Yeah, ain't they borrowing the money through us?
I don't know what they're doing yet. That's just in the works. Norway is, we committed that
That's what I'm talking about.
110.
I'm talking Norway.
Norway was 110 out of our
Yeah,
EMS
I
revolving
didn't think it
loan.
was 400.
Yeah.
I thought.
No, we've committed that 100 and some, but that's in a different fund as well.
And that's
that-
being paid back over 5 years, isn't it?
Correct. Yeah, but this is something, if you were to do that, EMS revolving loan is only for fire trucks. So if we did something, loan out of there for them, it would be a different scenario. But again, I have to transfer funds to that EMS for the fire trucks. And those are what I was telling you earlier on the big picture of the budget item.
Are you guys interested in a loan?
She's already going to the bank for a loan, correct?
Yeah, I mean, we've secured funding, I guess, depending on what.
But how much
guys
did you
would set
secure it for,
an
though?
interest.
How much
We
did you
can-
ask for?
We can get a loan for 120,000.
Well, you can't.
Yes. Yeah. And then, you know,
If
turn it
we
over
get
to
your
term.
backing that way, then.
Well, guys,
So basically, you guys would still pay that interest on that 120 on your own.
Yes.
If we give you the 40 for 3 years,
Yeah,
that's kind of their internal loan, but
Yes.
they're getting the principal from
Yep.
you guys. That's how I'm taking it.
Paying the bank interest.
Pay the bank interest for, yeah, I guess.
And this will
You know,
cover
for-
the
We got a
principal.
loan of 120,000, and then we're gonna pay the interest on it. Well, the first 50 we're gonna put down on, or not put down on, the first 50, what we gotta give to the
For
contractor.
the $170,000 project.
So are you asking for current fiscal year money or just waiting until 23?
If there's funds available for this year, like we could, I mean, technically, it would be an annual payment, so it wouldn't be until 23.
Mhm, okay,
Unless
that's
you
what I'm
guys
curious.
wanted to do 22, 23, 24, like however we, would agree to that, or if we need to spread it over 4.
Cause we're working on fiscal year
Mhm.
23 currently.
Sure. So yeah, if you're working on 23, then you
So you guys plan on just giving them the 40,000 for the next 3 years?
Why are we looking at me? Well, there's no doubt that not only the fair, I mean, how do you put a value on what it does for these FFA and 4-H kids? I mean, how do you put a value on that? And the 23,750 is what we have allocated, and that has not changed over
No.
the years.
That comes out of a different fund.
That stays the same.
Mhm.
And so updating, I get it. Everything's got to be kept up. And how do you put a value on what it brings to the county? Because they may not be stopping in Benton on their way through. They might be stopping in one of the other communities, whether it's Urbana or Belle Plaine or wherever they're coming through for supplies. So, yeah. It's a chunk of change, without a doubt.
Now, the COVID year, I see your ending balance was almost $10,000. The year you had no fair. Last year, you had almost 50,000 you made.
But they also got a $50,000 grant.
Ooh. Can you get that again?
I'd say get
Yes, they
3 of
can if you
them.
grant it.
Well, we need to support the Fair Board. I truly believe that. It's a chunk of change. Can we afford to support it?
I can ask a question, who's your contractor?
Well, you brought that to us before, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's out of Marshalltown, Jim. Jim Palmer, there you go, right in front of me.
That is that what he uses for a business name, or just like a different name for his company, or if you know?
It's, well, his email is jim@bleachersseating.com. It's American Aluminum Seating Incorporated, Marshalltown, Iowa.
Thank you.
That's phone number too, if you want.
Now, you're supposed to have 19 members on your board?
It fluctuates,
I know, like the copy that
the bylaws, that was.
you printed off, 3/4 of them are dead, so.
Yep,
Yeah, but yeah, that was the old, that's the,
That's the old.
and that's, we lost a couple, we lost two last year? We lost
Right
two
now-
last year, and we're in the process.
And,
How many we got?
Jeff Omega, we lost, we just haven't replaced him yet.
right now we got 12, and that was back in, the bylaws was, you're always supposed to have 19, and that was cut back to 14, 13 or 14. It was in the bylaws.
So you don't even have enough right now then?
No, we're short because of the.
No, according,
ones we
well,
lost.
we're short 1 or 2 right now because of Jeff and Bob in the last year or 2.
How does
So
someone
we're
get,
working on,
how does someone get appointed to your board of directors?
Well, that's probably a good question. A lot of people ask. And I guess we kind of, as a board, go through them, and it's just by board decision.
Never formally asked for applications, I guess.
No.
I'm the newest member on the board, and my husband and I have done quite a few, projects out at the fair for improvements. We did a memorial and just helped, I guess, helping out there, and they approached me and said, hey, you know, you guys have done a lot out here. Would you be interested in being on the board?
And we try and
Happy
pick
to, you know,
townships too.
Yeah, and there, yeah, where you have to cover the different districts, or however
Might be
that's
a
stated in there.
Couple doubled up in one township and not another, and but we try and get them out of townships.
Well, I was going through the names last night, and you got 6 or 7 of them I called from the Benton area, and the rest are,
Yep, so like Chad is in Bruce
Bruce,
Township, and I'm in Cedar Township. And that, in the bylaws, it showed, what did
Rick Gators from
it- urban-
Taylor West,
Zones.
and I'm Taylor East.
There's 7 zones,
You said you're,
so,
oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I do have a question when you finish.
yep, so in the oldest bylaws there that I have, there's 7 zones. And for the most part, I haven't looked at it. Rick Gator just went through them and said we're covered on all the zones, but we still have to add more members at this point. We need to get up to our number entirely, so.
well, you don't have any from like the Norway or Walford area.
Jim Crush.
He's from Newhall.
Well, that's things that they've got to
I know,
get.
but I'm just
Well,
saying.
in some of the zone, that zone,
And to be truthful, we could have 19 tomorrow.
Sure.
yeah.
So do we want them other,
What did you say, you said that, and I apologize, you said it, but I didn't quite catch it. The attorney is updating what for you folks?
The bylaws.
Bylaws?
Yeah.
Any major changes to them that you're anticipating?
we just got that, I got an email yesterday. Let's see, yeah.
Well, I'll throw a suggestion out there. A lot of times when the board is awarding money like that, they have some representation.
On the board.
You-
Mhm.
you-
Okay.
2, 3,
Like
some
an ex
board members.
officio, like the country board or
Well,
something.
you know, they agree to let the board pick 3, three board members, board supervisors pick 3.
I think that would be up to them if they would want it on there. Of course, we could mandate it if we're gonna do this kind of money too. If I may ask a question, do you feel confident enough on your other fundraising and other contributions that, would you feel comfortable if we did a dollar for dollar match up to 40,000? For every dollar you raised, we would match $1 through the lost funds,
Each year.
up to 40,000. I mean, what that does is gives you an incentive to get out there and kick butt,
Sure.
Mhm.
you know? What do you think? You need to take it back to your board.
One of the things I think you could do is, if I'm walking in the fair and someone is, although it's great that you're free, but if someone has, you know, a gate or an entry point, a sign, and someone's sitting there saying, we need to raise money to do this, you're gonna have people open up their billfold and throw in whatever your, suggestion, donation is.
Well, and that could be part of the incentive
that's-
to.
Yeah,
I mean, I
part of
think
what
there'd
we're
be
looking
people
at,
that would
Yeah.
contribute.
yeah, donation box, like,
But you
at
gotta
fair
actually,
somewhat, but
you gotta be right
physically.
up front and, one of the first things they see, and, maybe a signboard of some sort, doesn't have to be fancy, if we're using the money, this is what we need to do.
Grandstand improvement,
You know,
Project.
That's what we're thinking in the grandstand, race nights.
It's just like the cattle barn, fellas. When comes the money for that? Well, we got a building donated to us, we signed it all up, and people come in and left donations. I mean, it's not like we're sitting on our toes.
oh, no,
Yeah.
but this is something that may work well, I don't know.
Yeah.
And by doing a match, it would keep you from setting back on your haunches.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know, I can't read,
I know.
I guess we
Yeah.
really can't say now.
Yeah.
But the first year might go great. And the last year
Exactly.
might not go anywhere, no matter
Exactly.
how hard you work.
Yeah.
We had in the past, just experience, we did raise quite a bit of money, but then you always got ones in between,
I know, yeah.
We learned a lot doing that, and that's what, but yeah.
you got other things too, like GoFundMe pages and such.
I think if you just pass a hat at the grandstand,
Well,
people are sitting there in the
Yeah.
new seat.
Well, there's so many options that
Yeah.
we,
Yeah, that's what you've
Well,
talked, your 50-50 deal,
yeah,
Dave's, recommendation as far as a sign and somebody, I don't know.
I don't know how much he raised, but he might raise $20,000.
Well, if they did and we committed to the other 20, there's 40,
Yeah.
but that might be just the first year. So, and he might raise 60.
Yeah.
Guess my question
Yeah.
is, if we don't get that much, where are we gonna get the money to pay our loan then?
Basically, you're asking for us to guarantee the loan, for the most part.
Yeah, basically what it is, yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
outside of what we can fundraise.
Correct.
If they give you the money though, here's the counter argument, if they give you the money, what's your incentive to fundraise?
Yeah,
Well, that's what I was trying to
Yeah,
get.
incentivize you
Yeah.
with the,
I mean, then you don't have to do anything, and you're
Well,
good to go.
we weren't.
and that's not our intention, so
No, I
at
understand
all.
that.
Is there something like you
Yeah.
guys could provide the financial statements back to them if you got the fundraising that would offset the future 40,000? I mean, if you had
Yeah,
some kind
I
of an
mean-
agreement.
If we, who's to say we don't get 60 grand this year, just
Right.
throwing a number out.
Then you don't pay the next
You're
year's
gonna
40,000.
match us the 40 and then you're gonna match us 20 the next year? Or we're just,
Right.
I did
And then we're
talk to a few
paying.
people that way too, here at the banks, and a couple, I even had one person call us on, I don't know how much, might be $500 a year, or it might be $1,000 a year, we don't know that.
I guess if we could, make an agreement. I don't see any reason why we couldn't do the match. That gives you guys reassurance that we mean business. I guess, and we do mean business. I mean, we don't keep coming back for nothing. We wanna make this work and get the improvements done, so.
So my question again is, what happens, we don't get the 20,000 each year?
If our fundraising efforts fall short.
I'm not trying to find you guys
Like,
banking personal affairs, but money you're borrowing, are you repaying it over 3 years? What's your?
yes,
what's your-
that was our intent, was just to do a 3-year note. I mean,
see, that's why I suggested go with the loan through the county on this sales tax money. That way, the interest is gonna be a lot cheaper. I can't believe the banks are gonna cut you that good of a deal.
what kind of I mean, I guess through the county, what what do you guys expect for an interest payback?
Maybe
What-
1.5%, you know, like I said, I'm the only one speaking here, so,
Is that-
you know,
yeah,
the
that-
banks are gonna be
Sure.
4 or 5%,
I think just
I
lower
mean,
it
it's
four,
three.
wasn't it? Three something.
Yeah, like
and then they're cutting you a little bit of deal in.
Yeah.
So you're recommending that they borrow the 120 from the county and set it up on a payback and,
But then you'd have to commit to it all up front, regardless.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah,
and then then you'd throw in the matching type thing?
we probably could do that. I wouldn't be against that at all. I think that's a
Offset
smart
what our
thing.
payback is.
I think if you loan them the money, they've already got the money, but then it's a matter of what do they do on their end to get the loan repaid if the county's,
Right,
you know,
Sure.
taking the loan.
right.
And
So
if-
like I said, long story short, if we loan them the 120,000, and I'm not screwing around with the interest right now, they raise the next year and a half, 2 years, they raise 60,000. We only technically then give them 60,000 for the grandstands.
Correct.
You follow me?
Very true, very
And they
true.
could
If
probably,
everything clicks
And if
in a
they-
2 year,
Oh, I get it, and if they raise more than that,
Yeah.
I understand.
they got other projects to do then.
you could save interest if they paid off their loan quicker,
Yes.
if they had it up front. Like,
Now, what would happen if it's, you said 60,000, what would happen if it was 20,000 or whatever?
Well, we guess we'd have to look at your financial, you know what I mean?
Okay.
How, you know, there again, that was,
Amended.
say, COVID hits again.
Yeah.
Me personally, I'd understand that. I'm not gonna come in there with a torch and start cutting buildings down or anything like that, well, we'll have to extend, you know, the agreement.
Now, that'd still be over the 3 years?
Well, if you guys wanna go longer,
Well, I think we're doing with Norway 5.
yeah,
Okay.
Now, what would happen,
Yeah.
we go alone through you guys, would you put a lien on the Benton County Fairgrounds in?
I don't know that we put a lien on a fire truck, did
no,
we?
no.
That's above my, I have no idea.
That's above your pay grade?
Yeah, but you guys would be clearly of the understanding that if all of a sudden you didn't pay it back, it might be hard to ever get another dime out of the county.
Obviously, yes, clearly.
So, I mean, I think they have all, and they have the ability to make money out there.
And the way I read the state code, if you guys actually go defunct, that property comes to the county.
Goes back to the county.
Yes.
That's,
Well, this is what I'm saying, you know. If something just goes completely, now, are you gonna have a loan, or are you, let's just say the worst part happens. We got 60,000 or 70,000 we can't pay. So you're gonna come back and say, well, Fairgrounds is counties now?
Well, the only way I would foresee that happen is the fair is no longer, your board is no longer.
And we'd have to pay for insurance on it all.
Yeah.
and-
Honest to God, I don't want any.
Any part?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure some of the board's gonna say that, you know, we aren't gonna throw a lien against this thing, and
I'm not running again.
Some people, most people would look good dressed up like a clown.
But I would, I know
You out
that.
there,
Hey,
you know, amongst the carnival.
it works for me.
We put you in the
Been there,
dunk
I've
tank.
done that.
That might
But
make a, might make.
That's
That
what I'm
might
looking
work.
at, the only
Dunk
way
tank
that,
for Dave?
That might work.
you know, I know you're worried about paying it off, not making enough money. I still think you're gonna get quite a bit on fundraisers, you know. I still think you go be on some of these seed corn company guys and say, hey, do you want a sign on there? If you don't, we can put a sign on there that says, don't buy from this guy.
I don't think we get that.
That's good politics. That's what they tell me nowadays. But, you know, I think there's ways you can raise this. I really do.
I don't doubt
Help us retire our grandstand debt.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have a problem doing a 5-year commitment.
Yeah.
Loan and
We can
throwing
always
in a
pay it off
match
early if
type
we-
thing, you know, I really don't.
like Nicole says, what if we pay it off in 3 years?
That's great.
Then it's done.
That's
guys-
less
Yeah.
interest for
But
us to pay.
from my
Right.
point of view,
Yeah. I mean,
we loan the 120,000, like I said before,
Okay.
not figuring the interest, understand? You guys pay it off in 2 years. It only costs the sales tax, $60,000, and you guys raise the other 60 on the 120. That I can probably live with right now, you know what I mean, through the sales tax, that it ain't costing, of course, no taxpayers any money.
well, they're already paying
That's
it,
the
it
other
was,
thing.
the tax, the
But
taxpayers
you
are
guys-
already
Nothing,
paying.
right?
But you guys already worked to get that 60,000.
What's that,
Yeah.
Kurt?
You get this lost money for just people driving through, staying here or whatever, so it's not really costing you guys anything.
No.
No, but it's
But the
trying to,
problem is too with loss, it's in the legislation right now as well. They might do similar to the mental health and keep it at the state level too.
Sure.
So that is in a topic right now, so we have to be
But the
careful.
funds that you already have.
Currently have, but I'm just
Stay- would
saying,
stay,
2 years
but
from
going
now,
forward,
that might be
right.
gone regardless, so.
But at this point, the funds would still be available based off of what your balance is.
Right.
Correct.
and to answer the question, Kurt, there's a lot of nonprofit organizations around
Yeah.
that could come in and ask for the same thing since,
Sure.
Yeah.
since this is money that we didn't work for, you
Right.
know, it's tax money.
Sure.
I was just questioning, because that's.
Yeah,
And that's,
yeah.
and
Yeah. So,
we just look at it as a, beautifying Benton County even more.
sure.
Or bettering, however you want to.
Would you need to go back to your board
Okay.
with that thought of a 5-year loan from Benton County for the $120,000
Okay.
rather than the bank?
Yep.
And doing a matching forgiveness, if you will, I mean, on your
Sure.
fundraising? I mean, does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So on the 40,000 each year, we match 20,000.
Well, I don't care if it's.
Throw that
each
40,000
year.
out, that don't even exist.
That goes
I
out.
mean,
You're gonna get it paid for right away.
If you ended up with 60,000 the first year, donations.
You're
and
done.
You're done. And we match 60, you're over and done.
absolutely.
I think just over the life of the loan.
But you want 5.
Go 5 years,
For
why strap yourself to,
Exactly.
If
You
it
know,
takes us. Okay,
Takes
that-
us 1 year, 2
Yeah.
years, 4 years, 5 years?
yeah.
and if you get to the end of the 5 years and you say, yeah, we're really close, but we're not at the finish line, talk.
Get extending.
Okay.
I'm probably not gonna be here, but,
We hope you are right.
but, well, on this board.
on a side note, this is the first time that I had any kind of paperwork from the fair board, and this is my 4th year being a supervisor.
I have seen it,
And,
but
Yep.
this is
so,
good.
and we,
What happened on there too, we had, Angie got on when Susan quit.
our
And she
secretary
didn't
and
know we
treasurer,
were supposed to have the financials.
there was,
That's why the last 2 years didn't have the financials.
I look at
several
it,
years.
I look at it as a
For
positive.
the last, for the barn building, the 120, I already heard that,
Yes,
127.
you had that, and
Yep.
then from that point, Angie was not aware that
Yep.
she needed to submit, so she is aware of that now, and they will be submitted every year to you guys, so.
So I'm guessing you three are not able to commit to doing a loan with a forgiveness clause or whatever. You'd have to go before
You
the
gonna be here a little
board.
bit? Should we go out and talk about it a little bit?
Do you want your whole board involved with it?
What's that?
Do you want your whole board involved in this?
I think we should,
Well, I think so too.
yeah.
So my opinion,
Throw it on
Me
next
again.
meeting.
Actually, 3 of us could.
go home, have a meeting, have your 12 come up,
Yeah.
and even if you could get a couple more to come to your meeting, new members, that would be great. That way they're starting from ground zero,
Right.
what's going on, you explain it, let them have a 2 cents in it, and then vote. And if you guys vote, yep, we wanna do what you guys suggested, you don't need to come up here again. just give her a call or email.
Haley,
Okay,
We're getting.
yep,
we'll
and that's what
find
we
here
didn't know if
where
we would
gotta
have to.
get-
That's
come back
right.
to or how.
Next week looks pretty open too, so, if you back that fast.
well,
We probably can't.
I mean, you guys wouldn't be necessarily opposed to meeting later this same week, would you?
No, I don't care.
We
We're
have a
coming up
meeting
here
actually
Thursday.
Thursday
We're here Thursday.
at 4:30,
Thursday at 4:30.
so
We could do a meeting
I'll be
sometime
posting that
between
soon
now
if you
and
let me
then.
know.
It's gotta be a day ahead for the agenda.
We could hold
Yes,
it.
we can get a hold of
Yeah,
our
we
friends.
could just call Haley and.
Yep, cause we can put it on at like
Cause I said they don't, if they agree to our terms, they don't even have to come up here.
We would need something
No,
probably
we're gonna
wrote
have to
up
go
though,
over
won't
some
we?
paperwork.
Agreement.
Only thing
so-
I'm saying, cause like you aren't, when your terms are up or anything, just so this goes on.
Pretty soon.
Oh, paper.
You still got some, you still would have to hammer out some terms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
do
wouldn't
the
have,
legal
you've
stuff.
been skipping over.
Let's see, when do
so
you have to
far.
have papers out by?
You have to decide on.
Right.
We don't want no liens or anything against the fairgrounds.
Well, I don't think the
About the
county's
beer
intending
tent.
to do that, but I don't think the county's also gonna say that it would never do something in the future.
Right,
If they default it,
right.
yeah. But I'm not,
That's the biggest.
Well, the bank would,
Yeah, the bank would absolutely have a.
you know, they're gonna have a lien on the property,
Mhm.
you know, unless you're all signing personal on the loan, you know, they're gonna have a lien. They're gonna charge you interest,
Right, yeah.
so, yeah.
That's true.
Nope.
I think what we're offering is much more lenient than the bank. So,
Yeah.
like, where do I sign up?
We should be able to put together a
First.
quick meeting to do, you know, with enough members for voting.
Sure.
That we could get on the agenda for
It-
Thursday afternoon.
Haley will put you on the agenda now, and if you don't
Yeah,
have
We-
it, it's,
We actually, you gotta be on the agenda tomorrow by
Right.
4
Right, I can
o'clock.
put
She
it on
can
right
put
now.
it on there
um,
right
Put it on
now.
right now and then.
We're opening bids at 4:30. It shouldn't
Yeah.
take us long, so 4:45 or 4:45, 5. We have to be at Farm Bureau by 6, so.
Okay. Yeah, that
Okay.
should,
Do you want me to say
4:40,
4:45? Does that work Thursday?
yeah.
And it's gonna be in here as well.
we'll
Okay.
say 5 o'clock.
Or 5? That would give you guys time? Okay, let's do 5.
5 o'clock.
That way if they can,
Okay.
but it would still be contingent on some type of agreement, right, Dave, that you would have to prepare for them?
Well,
Which
we
could be
we
done,
should
I mean, as
actually,
long as
they
he's
want the money right
committed.
away.
Well, no, they don't need it tomorrow. I mean,
No,
We should
Oh.
have something drawn up.
Yeah.
definitely.
If they're not gonna
So
get
is
the,
that-
We need to know what the interest, you know, we have to have all
Yep.
the terms and.
Yeah.
what we have to do is have 50% down when we call Jim. We gotta send 50,000 to order the.
basically.
And you got
have
that
them-
right now, right?
Yeah, we can.
Well, the
we
whole
got
project's
50.
170, so we're putting 50 of it, so.
So you could actually send him a check in 10 minutes, right? To
Yeah.
start the project.
for
Well, but
50.
it's not fifty
But that's
percent
not
down.
50%, right.
They want 50%,
need
he
it.
wants 50% down.
So
But we-
you guys could make that
We can handle that.
decision to give them the difference out of
We can
lost
handle
funds
that too.
Okay.
today, give to you.
Whenever.
Until we can get reimbursed.
Yeah, that's no big deal.
And this
All right,
should be-
call the guy and say you're gonna send him 50,000 earnest money and the rest is gonna come within 2 weeks. Or not the rest, but the other,
The other.
to get to the 50%.
No, we can handle it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This basically would, contracts or
That'll give
paperwork's
Dave,
already in
that'll give
place, I
Dave
presume.
2 weeks or better to get it.
Yeah,
With-
I can come up with something.
Yeah.
With the terms.
All you need is the interest rate, what we decide
And then
on.
when you show up to personally sign,
Thank you,
All right,
guys.
thank you.
Well, thank
I
you.
think,
I
gentlemen.
forgot about it. You think
Yeah.
they're gonna show up?
Good work.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think they will.
Okay. All right, we'll plan on 5.
4:45
4:45 or
instead.
5. I'll put it on.
What's that?
4:45.
I'll double check the agenda
Yes.
online.
Yeah, 4:45 now.
Because we have city officials maybe coming as well later on.
I don't
so,
have much faith in them, so.
Yeah,
How much time they,
yeah.
thanks, guys.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Have a good one.
Now what do we got?
David,
Oh, yes,
an hour ago.
yeah. Right on time.
I spoke to Supervisor Seaman last week regarding our courthouse clock that is currently shut down. And I had presented Mr. Demisi from the Mechanical Watch and Supply Company's proposal. I think we did that back in early December, but whenever it was last year. The proposal hasn't changed, but Tracy wanted to know where are we at on this thing, and so he and I talked or spoke, and I said I'd put it on the agenda for today. So you've seen these documents before. The clock is still in disrepair, and again, as we said the last time we met, we've got it shut down right now based on Mr. Demisi's recommendation due to what he believes, and I don't think he's making it up, would be a fairly significant safety issue with the auto winders and how they're wired. When we were here a month or so back, one of the questions from the board was, well, how would, if the supervisors agreed to do this, how would the county pay for it? I don't know. You've gone through the budget cycle now, maybe you would have a better idea. Mr. Demisi's proposal is good still. Honestly, he's who we should have hired the first time around, I believe. Unfortunately, that wasn't done.
Okay, so how do we pay for it?
Lost funds.
Or ARPA is approved for clock repairs too, except my concern was since we had that previous grant and all that for it, if that is waived and we can start it as a new.
The thing about that previous grant, we had to maintain it in working condition for 5 years to satisfy the terms of the grant, and it worked for 5 years. So I've already talked to the state historical folks, technically the Iowa Department of Cultural Affairs, and we're done with the grant. I mean, you guys can do anything you want with it. You're not. They no longer have any sort of control or mandate over the project.
But I do think when I was reading that ARPA funds could cover it. Because it's not necessarily a tax relief, but it's an expense that you normally maybe wouldn't want to.
I did speak with Mr. Demisi back in December, but also again last week. He's flexible on the 1/3 down payment. If you wanted that to be like July 1st, he could, start of the next fiscal year, he could certainly do that. He did indicate that his time schedule would be once it warms up, which he estimated to be maybe the end of March to sometime in April, he would come down and they would start taking the clock apart, and he'd take it back up to the Twin Cities. He does have all the parts that we need already in stock. He's also, as I said before, and he indicated this in my phone call with him last week again, he's getting ready to basically he'll still be doing maintenance work, but he's probably getting out of the complete restoration of these types of clocks at work, just because he says he's old enough that, climbing up there and everything, he wants to, have a smaller workload. But he would like to do this clock. He does feel some affinity for it since he had come down and bid it originally. And he's the closest guy that does this. Back when we took bids on the original clock project, we had 3. Mr. Demisi, the gentleman from Indiana, and we had one out of the Kansas City area. That's my recollection. Oh, by the way, I didn't look at it, but the original bid that was awarded umpteen years ago, I think that was about 56,000 or 55,500, somewhere in there. So I mean, prices haven't gone up too much, but it is kind of a sad thing when it's we already thought we'd done it once. We thought that with our maintenance that we'd have something that would be good to go for 50 years. And instead, we got about 5 years out of it, 5 to 6 years out of it, whatever the time frame.
So it's my understanding that this guy, if we got a better chance
Is there
of
any
getting
guarantee
50 out of
this
this one than we
Yeah.
did the last one.
That's what I'm wondering, if there's gonna be a better guarantee.
Well, he
gonna-
only warrants it for 2 years, but the other guy didn't warrant it for more than a year, is my recollection. And a lot of it depends on, do you have, it's not hard to do the maintenance, but you gotta, you know, it's a maintenance schedule, there's stuff you do every month. I think we've got a good maintenance crew on board. They were both up there with Mr. Demisi, assisted him when he was here last year. And he has down, part of his proposal is he's gonna train our people what they need to do and tell them, you know, what they can do, and, you know, something, you know, if this happens, that happens, that's when you call him. And I think we've got pretty good maintenance folks on board. It's just a question of, you know, right now, the clock is right twice a day.
It's absolutely right twice a day.
And do you want something maybe a little bit better than that or not?
Well, if you, it may never be right.
Haley, under
Be a minute
maintenance
off.
expenses, current budget and year-to-date, the grounds and, building and ground maintenance, current budget has $175,000 in there, and only 3,000's been spent.
Right, but they were still waiting on,
Randy
Jansen for
Jansen.
some things, but
Yeah, for the
we always
string the
put,
lights.
Well, I hate to think
Not
that
just for
it's
that.
gonna be $172,000 to string Christmas lights.
no, but we always have to put money there because we have some of that committed for emergencies, just like if we would've had to dig into the yard last week.
I
for-
get it, I
so
get it.
We don't wanna like cut us short in case we'd have a bigger emergency either.
Well, my question is, would $58,000 cut us too short out of 172 remaining?
Well, you wouldn't pay him 58 up front. He gets traditionally a third up front,
Right.
and then the rest upon completion. And he will be gone with the clock for up to a year.
So I'm wondering if
Oh,
this
it's
can
gonna-
come out of maintenance.
If you pay the
It's gonna
deposit
take him a
maybe out of
year to
that,
put-
and then do you wanna
He
see
takes
about the
this
ARPA
thing up,
fund?
first of all,
for the
he's gotta take it
remainder?
all apart.
Yeah.
Then
I
they
mean,
go
'cause
up
that
to
way-
the Twin Cities and
Makes
he
sense.
That's gonna
builds
cut into
everything.
our
He's gotta put it all
reserves,
together,
so-
and it has to run. Then he's gotta take it all apart again, bring it back to Benton County, put it all
So,
back together, and he's like anyone else, he's got a business up there, he's working on stuff all the time, this isn't his only project. So he tells you about a year.
That's my recommendation, let's take the deposit out of the maintenance, or the 1/3 down. And then, as we go forth, see if we can spread it out, either into maintenance or the ARPA funds.
I checked in on it. You can use the ARPA fund.
And I can ask that gentleman that he never charged me for the last time we asked him that question.
So I would say let's go forward with this. Do you need a motion or something?
Yes,
to get
I
this
do.
rolling?
Well,
I
he
do.
probably to get the deposit going. I
Okay,
guess.
Yeah, it would be, if you sign this
58.5
contract,
divided by
you send it up
3.
to him, and he signs it, or I'd email it to him, and he'd send his back, and we'd cut him a check.
And then we still have time to research how you're gonna pay it before we get that back.
I would
He
just
won't
take it
be
out.
back for many, many months.
Yeah,
But I mean for the deposit,
I would just take it out of maintenance right now,
for the current.
just to
deposit.
get going. Yeah,
That's fine.
that's what I,
I'd
Yeah.
agree.
yeah,
As long as we're.
that's my motion.
yeah. Okay,
is to-
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Now, you motion is, I gotta sign the contract then.
Well, I thought that was what the motion was,
Okay.
but,
And to pay for it.
Okay.
Well, it
enter
says,
into the
Yeah.
discuss
agreement
approved
with the
mechanical
water
wash supply proposal.
Yeah,
Okay,
No contract.
that works.
I think you're gonna be very well pleased with him. I think I misspoke. I think I said Monroe County, and it's Jasper County, whose county seat is Monroe. They ran into a similar situation. They had the same vendor out of Indiana. Their clock, when it was reinstalled, never worked. And then Mr. Denisi's company came in and basically redid it from scratch, which is what this proposal is here. And there just tickled pink with him. It's crazy. And in fact, he did another, they have a master clock system, that powered clocks all through, one clock that, generated the time and powered all the clocks, throughout different parts of their courthouse. He came and rebuilt that system for them too. They were so happy with how he did their tower clock. And in fact, it's, well, I won't say that, I just say they're very happy with it.
I'll switch you copies. I'll grab your copy that you got that's not signed.
And the nice thing is, Mr. Demisi's been doing this for so long, he has all kinds of parts that are original to our style of manufacture of clock that he can just plug right in. And that was one of the problems he identified for our clock. We had a couple major parts that weren't original.
What else?
Well,
you
this
have,
seems like
sir?
a good day to come to you guys seeking money.
Yeah, isn't it?
I want a pontoon.
You want?
I want a pontoon.
Oh, I thought you
Yeah.
won
Really?
one.
Well,
Got
would
one,
you
I'd
be
sell
willing
you.
to,
Really?
would you be willing to pay the Board of Supervisors of the county back at
1.5%?
1%
Yes, I would.
1.5% interest?
I sure would.
Over 5 years?
Are you a nonprofit organization?
It could be. It would bring me lots of enjoyment over
There
the
you
5
go.
years.
Well, I don't have a pontoon, it's a tri-tune, sorry.
Well, that would work too.
That's even better.
Yeah.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, hold on a minute.
I'm
So-
not sure
Tracy,
what
I'm gonna ask
they,
you to sign a second one, that way he can have a signed copy.
Okay.
Do two of them.
Okay.
So I sent the MD, the rough draft to that bonds guy, and we're gonna get our rating tomorrow, so I'll let you guys know Thursday. But I have no doubt that it's gonna be pretty good. And then that'll be on the 15th, February 15th, which is next week, I guess, or 22nd.
yeah.
Have you been attending the Zoom meetings on Thursday over the
I
towers?
don't have to, Scott said, so, not yet, until we start talking when I have to pay bills.
See, they never sent me the link last Thursday, so I.
But he was gonna ask on that insurance, and maybe while Dave's in here, we should ask too, to have him look, because I've been told two different things, who's covering the insurance on those.
I will
On-
ask
on
that
what?
Thursday.
On the
Towers
tower
being
site,
built.
as they're being built, if they're
Okay.
struck by lightning or something happens in
Okay.
the meantime,
Who's,
Who
Me
has to cover?
personally, I think they should carry the insurance until they turn them
They hand
over.
it over.
but when I asked that question, I was told that we were supposed to, so.
well, it's kinda like building a house. You build a house,
You got builder's insurance, while you're doing it.
well,
Construction loan insurance, and then once it's done, it goes to a home loan. Home,
Cause we wouldn't just have the towers, we'd have like those generators in those little stations and stuff.
things
too.
passed, I insured it while it was being built,
your construction guy didn't do it?
right?
Well,
Really?
Heartland told me we need
I'm
to
doing
make sure
something
we
wrong.
decide that out before we go forward with letting them know too. So.
Yeah,
But we're not gonna start doing anything until the ground thawed anyway.
yeah, cause that's,
Cause I know, I won't say it, but
I suppose it can be done either way,
the
but
the
we need
company,
it spelled out.
the company by Newhall there had a pole barn going up, and they had it all framed up, trusses, no ball wax, and they had it strapped, and, thinking we had that wind here 60 mile an hour.
Right.
And,
Boom.
yeah, co-op went and they contacted their insurance company, they got insurance on the building. The construction guy had his own insurance. Well, guess what?
Never
The
had
last
any
2.5
insurance.
months, two insurance companies are arguing. You pay, no, you pay, no, you pay.
Yeah,
And the building ain't done, it's nothing but a pile of,
rubble.
yeah. So, anything else?
Nope, I got the
You
agenda
give us-
ready for
You
Thursday.
give us the new budgets. the
And
new
then I should
approved.
be able to bring you the big, I'm gonna plug in some things just from what today's. And at one, we're just gonna have to cut it and say we're good to go.
Okay.
Cause I do have to send that maximum levy.
Next,
Thank you, David.
on the 15th, then, I think conservation's coming in here.
Oh, are they, with theirs?
Yep.
Okay, so, do you know what time or anything?
No,
So
no.
that one is, we have the sheriff's union stuff on at 10:30. If they could come at like 9:30, that would work.
I'll
Don't
let,
mind me asking, what's the sheriff's union coming for?
I don't know, so I didn't put a memorandum of understanding for the contract stuff. It's in red, so I don't know who put it in here or anything, but, so it might not be official.
Wasn't me.
I mean, somebody must have called over, the girls put it on.
Okay, well, the sheriff should know something about that.
Yeah, Richard Hoffman? Is he
He's
their
the
steward?
okay.
Yeah, we should be able to come
Cause
up with
that's why we'll get that
19.5.
rating and then they'll get our interest rate and then
Or
we'll get that
the
payment
clock.
schedule.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay, so if there's anything else that we have to act on Thursday, we should have time before we go to Farm Bureau, cause I'm gonna post them two separate, to different locations.
and the sheriff did say he was coming too, so,
Correct, to Farm Bureau.
yes.
And he should come to this one here, I assume, or John Lindeman, if
Yeah,
the city
somebody
comes.
should,
Yeah.
Yeah, for that, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So I won't post that until maybe today, just so I don't forget tomorrow.
For Thursdays.
Honestly, before the union shows up and starts talking to the board, you
Yeah,
know,
like I said, I don't know who
the
put it
sheriff
on.
should know what they're doing. Maybe he already does, probably already does, somewhere in that category. We have an attorney that helps us on that stuff, but we also have an attorney that we have. in
Cedar Falls,
contracts,
right?
Waterloo. Before they come over and make some pitch directly to you guys, I think we should, know what the.
I'll try to find out who put it on, but I don't know at this
What
point.
they're proposing, or
Okay.
maybe it's just something basic, but.
And, cause we already did the MOA, or MOU for the sign-on bonuses, didn't they?
For who?
Because you guys were gonna do those sign-on bonus, or,
The
hiring.
startup
bonus
bonuses
for the
this
sheriff?
3 people, he did it for 3.
So
and
we
he
already
don't-
did that one?
Yes.
Okay, so it's not that.
No,
I have no idea
did it
then.
for them 3, and he don't wanna do it no more.
Okay, then,
Yeah, I know he's not in favor of it.
One of the things he talked about, do away from that.
Should get passed on first before it's just presented in the meeting.
I don't know if the sheriff is still here yet or not, probably not.
No, I think he left a couple hours ago. Yeah. Good.
Okay, is that it? We get the budget works, you kinda give us the new updates. Any, old business, new business, or any meetings?
Had a meeting, it was, early childhood development. That's pretty well it.
Okay, they never sent me the link to join on the Zoom on Thursday over the towers. And that evidently lasted for probably an hour and a half, cause I called Scott a little after 10, and I couldn't get Scott to answer any phone, and then he finally called me back then about 11:45, and I says,
Mhm.
so he was gonna send an email to him. And since then, now been getting all the emails.
Okay. That's good.
So they're having another meeting here Thursday morning, so another Zoom meeting, so.
Okay.
we have a meeting too with our website update, so it's gonna be done here pretty soon and kicked off live,
Really?
so, yeah.
Good.
Mhm.
Well, I have nothing else, so I would second Gary's motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.